We'll be discussing. At 7 a.m., we want to talk about governance systems. Is this game rigged? Is it?
Absolutely.
This game has been rigged. Why governance
absolutely.
systems in this country are designed to fail. And the person who will be joining us to talk about this is somebody who has been a legislator for over 20 years, Richard Onyonka, the senator for Kisii County. He's been an assistant minister. He has grown up in the system.
Yep.
Okay. His father was a minister.
He was.
And then he became an MP following the demise of his father.
Yes.
And he has been in Parliament, in the National Assembly, in the Senate. And he's been talking things. And he'll come and tell you.
He's one of those very rare politicians who has gotten elected on different parties tickets.
Different every time, Almost every time.
The different party ticket and still gets elected, which tells you that he's one of those leaders, political leaders, whose people, it is him the people like. That the political party does not matter as far as they're concerned.
It's a person.
It's him.
It's the person. Okay, so Richard at 7 a.m., he will be here. At 8 o'clock, we talk about land corruption and historical injustices in Kenya. We'll be joined by the CEO of the Kenya Land Alliance and human rights lawyer, Faith Alube. She will be here at 8 a.m. to talk about that. Mambo ya mashamba.
Shamba.
Big issues. And then at 9 o'clock, Gen Zs have started talking about, counties. So what's happening? So there is money. At you have how many accounts?
Okay.
At you bought flowers because the president was coming.
For 25 million.
You spent 25 million. Because
and it wasn't a flower farm you bought.
As in the flowers are not still producing till today.
No, it's just that one time. Okay.
Tell us more. Now, somebody who's in the devolution space, Francis Mwangangi, he's the deputy governor of Machakos County. He'll be joining us. The wave of accountability that is sweeping into counties. He'll come. We'll hear from him. Those are the conversations for today. Mambo namna gani? Mambo iko sawa? Siko sawa? Iko sawa? Sawa. 21 minutes after 6.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. The weather with SpiceFM.
Cloudy conditions in Nairobi this morning. We'll see highs of 24 through Monday, and we'll see highs of 23 in a mostly cloudy Nakuru. 21 will be the high in a cloudy Nyeri, and in Eldoret at 14, we'll see highs of 23. It's 22 and clear in Mombasa with highs of 30. We'll see highs of 29 in Malindi and highs of 27 in a cloudy Kisumu. It's cloudy at 18 in Kakamega. Into Kampala, 19 and clear, while Dar es Salaam at 24 is cloudy. We'll see highs of 30. It's clear at 2 degrees in Johannesburg with highs of 17. Mogadishu at 25 is sunny, and Addis Ababa at 13 is cloudy. Lagos is cloudy at 24, and Kinshasa at 21 is cloudy. We're looking into a sunny Beijing Monday afternoon at 33. 17 and cloudy in Paris, and 16 and cloudy in London. New York, Sunday night is cloudy at 23. Monday, we'll see highs of 31.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Good morning, everybody. We see you tune in this morning. Don Sabwa, Ndu City, Eric, Ndili Bueno, Kaya Inu, Ruto, Mombasa Town Hall. That was interesting to watch. Jimmy Wekesa says good morning. The Kikombe is tuned in from Nyayo House to collect his passport. He applied for a week ago.
Wewe utapata passport hii
1 week. We live in Pay Airfare. Where are you going? Good morning, Spice people. Have a successful week, says Jay Wangai. Evans Ntabo is greeting us this morning and says waiting hot topics to Metenga. Yes, they're coming. Willis E says, good morning, Situation Room. Good morning, good people. It's a great morning. Yes, it is. Joe Mungai says, Nani alienda na funguo? You are so late to open. Open what? We're here. Robert Mbogo is tuned in this morning. Martin Austin is also here. It's a good week because we missed the Spice team. Glad to have you here this morning. Azaria, we see you. Good morning. Abraham Kimeli says, good morning. Happy end of the month. Yeah, we're almost there, aren't we? Jimmy Munuthi says, good morning, Spice team. Desmond Ortiz says, good morning. Kenyans will now enjoy free flights to overseas job seekers. Yeah, that's what we've been told. Hello, Princess Ndu. Good morning, Leo. Eric CT Edna, have a job abroad, but I have no fare. Don't worry. It's been taken care of. Good morning from Muthiga. Justice for our young fallen heroes and speedy recovery to those recuperating from undeserved injuries. God save Kenya. Jerry Mamba says, good morning. Can someone tell me for how long you can be ignorant? Who? Anyone? Okay. Rogers Nyange says, good morning from Voi. Good morning, Spice Gang. Just whistling. Okay. Ali Ado is tuning in this morning. Esfan Gikonyo says, welcome to a new week. Aluta Continua. Indeed, it is. Layo Abdiaziz, good morning to you. Mashari and Jero is tuning in this morning. Good morning to Team Spice. Nanyuki is watching. Good morning, my people. Greetings from Toulouse in Denmark. Have a pleasant day. The General is here. Linus Gitonga is here. Jimmy Gakio is tuned in. Carol loves us, and we love you too, Carol. Good morning, everybody. Gilbert Kirui, Andrew Nyendo, Ken. CT, your headgear is the truth.
Kabisa.
Lawrence Kiniti says, good morning. How do we apply for foreign jobs in Diopate? Georgia Koff says, good morning, my peeps. Eric, Siti, Ndu, Edna, Yego. The Kenyan MPs do not understand what their roles are. Is that so? Ndu got moves. She does, imagine. Linus Gitonga, we see you. Kennedy Wanjala, good to have you in the room this morning. Brightening up the room this morning. Bernard, Evans Nyangano, Michael, Cliff Machoka, Rahab Nyambura, Edwin Ngari. It's great to be in the room this morning. Wairimo, you're awake. Good morning, sister. Everybody, karibuni sana. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Welcome. City, we are done with the islands in Africa.
For now, we are now looking at landlocked countries.
Okay.
Okay, on the planet Earth, there are 43.
Landlocked countries. Only 43. Then all the 5 continents.
There's more water on this planet. There's more water on this planet than there's land.
No, I'm sorry. Of how many continents?
5. How many do you know of?
There are 7 continents.
Which ones?
Africa, Asia, America, Australia,
Antarctica.
Yes, me, I've mentioned mine. Now I'm leaving you to mention yours.
So wacha tuongeze zingine. South America utasema South
It is a
America.
continent.
South America is a continent.
Ongeza hiyo.
Okay, so there are 7.
I said Europe.
Nah.
So Africa, Asia, North America, South America, Europe, Antarctica, Australia. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Okay.
There's 7
To Antarctica hapo hiyo kuna mtu
People
anaishi
live
hapo.
there. The Inuit live in
What do
Antarctica.
you mean? They
What
even
are you
have a
talking
capital
about?
city.
Chana na hiyo
And
kitu
it's
bana.
not made of ice.
Chana, Antarctica toa bana.
Z.
It's like counting Pluto.
Pluto's
We
a
removed
planet.
it.
No, we're dealing on planet Earth. Bro.
We removed
not
Pluto
the solar
from
Who's
planet.
we? The people who removed Pluto is because they felt that the conditions were not favorable for them. So they decided it's not a
same thing
it's
I'm
not a
doing with
planet.
these planets.
It's the way they say
Yeah, these
Venus is a
continents of
star.
ours.
Who decided? Just because it shines bright like a diamond?
Okay. So is there a landlocked country in Antarctica?
City, please, to the left.
Or in Australia? So we are left with 5 countries that can have landlocked continents. Are we now together on the same page? Ndu, are we here now?
What are the characteristics of a continent?
Look, Ndu.
Must a continent have countries in order for it to be a
Australia?
continent?
No.
Thank you
Australia
very
and
much.
Antarctica are not in this list we are counting. How many? You said 34 countries that have?
I said 43.
43 countries in that are landlocked.
Only 16 out of these 43 are in Africa. Landlocked countries.
Only 16.
Yes.
Those are many. Okay. How many countries are in Africa in total?
54.
The last time I counted, they were exactly what Ndu has said.
And out of the 54, 4 are islands.
No,
6
Six.
islands.
6.
Okay. And then 16 are landlocked. Okay.
City, if I were you, I would ignore Eric and give us a proper, because he's going to take you on this goose chase.
You know, this is.
So
this
where
is,
are we now?
This is Monday. This is Monday morning, and a brother must be given time to wake up his brain.
Clearly.
Okay. I know Eric
You know
well.
what he's doing.
Brain is waking up, so let's give it time. Let's give it time. He'll catch on. At least he's gotten continent thing right. And he's now understanding landlocked. Well, we're okay. She's even asked a pertinent question.
I
So
see.
which country are we in today, you see?
Are as you guys have caught up with me,
All right.
only 5 continents have the possibility of having landlocked countries. Now let's go.
Right. We are in the Republic of Burundi. Yes, whose capital city? This you've done before? Yes.
Who?
Bujumbura.
And that is the largest city.
It's the largest city, but it's not the capital.
Capital is called Gitega.
Gitega
is the capital.
Capital.
The administrative capital.
Ndio.
I see.
Dodoma yao.
Yes.
It's not like us when Nairobi is everything. Okay, city, largest city, biggest population. Proverb number 1 from the Republic of Burundi. You set the trap after the rat passed.
You set the trap after the rat passed.
Yes, trap you set. Rat.
You did, or is it something that happened in terms of an action, or it's something that is prescribing an action? You set the trap, or you actually did?
You set the trap
after the rat passed.
The rat passed after.
Voilà. Okay.
It's the rat passed, and then you set the trap.
Proverb, this one, rat, trap, you set.
You were a little too late.
Yeah.
After the fact.
So perhaps the next
Fast
rat.
bolting.
Perhaps another rat.
But that other one, the one you thought you were going to
It
catch.
can be the only rat. Yeah.
No, there are many rats. It is not possible. Those fellows.
There have to be many rats.
Yes, they have to be.
We can't just have one rat.
There got to be another rat. There's always a rat.
There's always a rat.
There's always a rat, yes.
Yeah. It's past. We do the traffic first and then we look at the headlines.
No problem.
Okay. Yeah, it is 31 minutes after 6. That's how they say. So let's take a look at traffic and then we will look at what's in the headlines today.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
All right, so what's happening on the streets this morning? Quick look at that. Jago Road is starting to pile as you get out towards the City Stadium roundabout. It's not going to be crazy on Landis, at least not for now. Now as we're seeing some movement, then heading into traffic along the Pangani Tunnel. And on Gong Road, there's traffic starting to move, starting to build rather, and then moving out towards the City Mortuary roundabout. You'll be fine coming out of Westlands. For now, James Gishiro doesn't look too bad. I think we'll be able to get out of that without a scratch. But looks like it's going to pile up in a bit. All right, what else is happening? Let's take a quick look at the Eastern Bypass. Nothing too much, but we know that's going to build. And there's also traffic coming in then towards North Airport Road and Cabanas and all this good stuff. Keeping an eye on things, guys. See what happens as we get closer to traffic hour. SpiceFM KE on X, hashtag the Situation Room.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Headlines.
Gachagua running out of options. Another rat. It is not in doubt that Deputy President harbours ambitions to succeed President William Ruto. And if he thought he was close to his target by endearing himself to Mount Kenya, then that target has moved quite a distance as the bromance between the president and Raila blossoms. So whatever trap was set, the rat has passed. CT, you're clairvoyant. These are the front page of the Standard this morning. IEBC recruitment gathers steam and why it matters. American polls enter home stretch. Experts say that peg all your hope on big data. That's where everybody is looking. Government clears Raila's path to AUC submission. Government clears Raila's path to AUC submission ready. Ruto, he was in Mombasa yesterday, over the weekend. And he said the Gen Z moment is a wake-up call to all on good governance. Okay. Health projects at risk as Treasury trims budget vote, and parents are anxious over Gen Z fever as schools close this week.
Are you?
Yeah.
Parents are anxious.
Anxious that maybe their children will catch Gen Z fever. I think it's a bit too late for that. I think we're already sneezing and sniffing at this point. The August break has renewed fears that students might get caught up in the protests or even pushed to participate.
I see. Okay.
Get it? Front page of The Nation, Ruto turns to usual strategy. What is that? President Ruto is back to his usual strategy of touring regions he perceives will accord him a good reception after doling out political rewards. In cabinet appointments, a script he has perfected since coming to power in 2022. The political tools are usually disguised as development visits. 3 billion, utapewa, tutafanya, tuta nini. Red flags in Adani JKI deal mirror auditors 2018 concerns. You remember that questions being asked about the proposal to lease Jomo Kenyatta International Airport to an Indian firm mirror concerns that the Auditor General flagged about a similar aborted deal involving Kenya Airways in 2018. Plus ça change? Okay.
Shows.
Les mêmes choses.
Yeah.
Scramble to cash in on Gen Z wave. Over 20 applications for name reservations have been made to the Office of the Registrar of Political Parties with eyes on the 2027 polls. Gen Z party.
The Gen Z party. Party of the Gen Z.
Party of the Gen Z. Gen of Z party. Of Zipa Zipapa.
The Gen Z.
Gen Zipa. MPs clash with senators over conflicts of interest bill. It's not going away anytime soon, and we're still seeing that they might have a bit of a tiff over this. Moments of truth for Kenya in volleyball. Kenya today will play at 2 p.m. in the Olympic first round qualifiers. They will play Brazil.
Volleyball.
Oh, Kenyan ladies, huh?
Yes, Malkia strikers will play the Brazilians at 2 p.m. There will also be a kicker of a match between Turkey and the Netherlands. Turkey and the Netherlands at 10 a.m. this morning.
Which sport?
Volleyball. Olympics have gotten on to a kicker of a start, and unfortunately, we would not have seen the French team lose to the Guineans. They were going to win that match, but we had to cancel 2 of their goals, and France could not be kicked out in the first round preliminaries. Football.
Guinea had shown them a thing.
Guinea had scored 2 goals, which they denied. They said.
Yeah.
So at the end of the in the final,
Yes. Yeah.
Hey,
Imagine how sweet it would have been Guinea beating France.
in
France.
France.
Yeah, I remember that time when Cameroon had beaten England. World Cup. They had beaten.
This was the only time we don't want France to win.
Yeah.
This is the only time. This is not Africa United anymore.
It's all right. Life moves on.
We had our own African team.
It was quite.
Okay. Higher in the Business Daily. Kenya banks snoop on staff with AI in war against fraud. Commercial banks have developed artificial intelligence technologies to spy on their staff in fresh efforts to combat fraud and theft propagated by internal actors, according to the sector regulator. Fast-growing artificial intelligence technologies, which makes machines mimic human intelligence in thinking and learning, has been entrenched in nearly every sector, and now Kenya's financial industry is adopting to help minimize fraud losses. In an annual review of technology development in the banking sector, the central bank noted that lenders in the country are now using AI to improve operational efficiencies, predict customer behavior, and manage risks more effectively. So now AI is looking at your account and saying, pesa ikiingia hata ikae dakika mbili inatoka,
uelewe tu,
hatutakwambia imeingia, ikae kidogo.
uelewe tu. It's Ferrari.
Yeah. Higher. Treasury is on the spot over some 2.6 billion shillings tax gift to a company that is selling electric bikes.
What?
Former Treasury CS Jogona Adongo has been put on the spot for committing over 2.5 billion shillings of public funds to pay taxes for a private electric vehicles firm, triggering opposition from rival companies. Treasury had offered to settle import duty for 10,000 electric motorcycles and 80,000 lithium-ion batteries imported by Africa Smart Mobility Solutions Kenya Limited. That offered the firm a competitive pricing advantage. It all started in September last year. The Ministry of MITI, Investment, Trade and Industry, requested the Treasury to pay 25% import duty for the 10,000 bikes and 80,000 batteries. The CS, who was replaced at the Treasury last week following a shake-up of the cabinet, on September 6th last year informed KRA that the state will pay import duty equivalent to 25% of the bike's imports costs on behalf of Africa Smart Mobility Solutions that's owned by Africa-focused e-mobility provider Spiro. After due consideration and in the public interest, the CS for the National Treasury and Economic Planning undertakes to pay the import duty payable in respect of the 10,000 electric bikes and the 80,000 batteries being imported. The CS said in a letter.
Okay.
So this was, in a bid to... Remember, that was September last year. And this was after the president had promised that we are going to have electric motorbikes in this country. Pikipiki Kenya itakuwa bila ya stima. Itakuwa ya stima. Hakuna kununua petroli.
Is it this year that
Last
is still
year.
happening? Oh, no, but is it happening this year?
Yeah, it's still ongoing.
Okay. But
Yeah.
by December, everything will be electric.
So last year, now in a bid to accelerate this access, so 10,000 electric motorcycles and 80,000 batteries were being imported by this company. And the company sought, some waivers. Now, the government cannot waive import duty because it's part of our East African community protocols.
But the president promised.
Yeah, but we cannot waive import duty.
Did he not know this when he promised?
So, no, these are different things, sorry. Okay. So now the National Treasury now, to support this company to accelerate this, the National Treasury offered to take up the bill. And that's where the 2.6 billion shillings comes in. Sitting.
Yes, please.
What's in the Star and the East African?
Yes, top right-hand corner in Till Green, National Unity. Inside, Ruto's tours to pacify demo hotspots after deal with Raila.
Alarm.
Yep, this story is on page 4 and 5. It's silent pain for mothers raising children with autism. Remember, we did have some doctors with us talking to us about autism, and one of the doctors was herself a parent of 2 children who had autism. Okay?
Yeah.
This is a story that once again brings to our attention the plight of children with autism and the parents who have to deal and to manage these
the
children.
caregivers of
Yes.
persons with
Yes.
any form of disability.
Yes, and it seems to fall on the mothers.
Yeah.
There are cases where there are men who live with children with autism, but predominantly it is the mothers of these children. Yes. Learners in Naivasha drop out of school for fishing. They're saying many secondary school children have dropped from class in the last year to join illegal fishing around Lake Naivasha.
What?
According to the Naivasha Ministry of Education, informal settlements around the water body were the most affected as the numbers continue to rise by the day. You fish, you sell fish. Fish is a cash crop.
Yeah.
Cash crunch. Alarm as civil servants fail to repay 7 billion housing loans. Apparently, there is something called a civil servants housing scheme fund. And bless you.
Thank you.
A sum total of 7 billion was lent out to civil servants. An audit of the firm in 30th June 2023 revealed that many of these civil servants had ignored demand letters for payments, and over 7 billion shillings was owed to the government.
So a check off.
It appears whatever they had used is not working.
Well,
I would
Because I
assume,
expected it was a.
I would assume it is also a check-off. But check-off can be checked.
this is true.
But still.
Still,
Because
this
by
story,
the time this company is sending a demand letter, it means that you have not paid. But if it was a check off, the employer would be deducting and directly remitting to the scheme. It's a government scheme, isn't it?
yes, the government gave them money. You've paid for the house, and but it appears that you are not paying. You
You're not paying the mortgage.
Yes.
Okay.
So this one is an interesting story. And as far as people don't pay what they're supposed to pay is interesting. How CIA stopped U.S. Embassy bomb plot. This,
Where?
It's in the
yes,
Kenya.
the story is on page 6. It's in Kenya. This is history, not yesterday.
Oh.
Not today. History around 2009, that sort of thing.
Okay.
It was led by Ali Saleh Naban, who had direct contacts with bin Laden. The story is about how it is the CIA spread money lavishly it is being said by those who understand these things that a sum no less than $100 million was spent, just spread around nicely.
To what?
To understand what was going on.
To buy information.
And that I think would be primarily that.
Okay.
And to thwart this particular attack.
That's interesting.
Yes. So whenever you find that this has been revealed, you know how it is. There's a Secrets Act thingy-majig in many countries, and then it expires at a certain point in time. And so things that you couldn't have said are said. Then there are other people who make it their business to find out some of these things and then reveal. It's one of those cases when some of these people who make it their business to understand these things have decided that they're letting people know.
No.
This guy is called Matthew Id, author of Secrets, Sentry, and an intelligence specialist, featuring in documentary of hundreds of intelligence operations with parliamentary experience. This guy is supposed to live in Nairobi. He's the one who's telling us this story.
Okay.
So the Star, as you can see, is full of sterling information in news this morning.
Kabisa.
The East African.
Did you say bang in the middle of the paper?
Yeah.
That's the one.
That's the bang in the middle of the
You
paper.
need to say it.
Right, bang in the middle of the paper.
Thank you.
How CIA stopped U.S. Embassy bomb
come
plot.
on, man.
And in this, there is a picture of the gentleman who was opposed to Fazul Abdullah Muhammad, Osama bin Laden himself, Issa Osman Issa, Saleh Ali Saleh Naban. These are pictures of the people who are supposed to be behind this. There's a picture of.
Okay.
Right. Now we're okay?
Yeah.
East African. Bang in the middle of the paper. Bang in the middle of the paper. Samia's political chess games. Samia here is a reference to, what say Her Majesty, no. Her Excellency, sorry. Samia Suluhu Hassan, President of the Democratic Republic of the People's Republic of Tanzania. All right? Ahead of the electioneering season, a sterner president is enforcing loyalty and efficiency among state officials, as seen in the latest reshuffles. So it isn't just Kenya that is reshuffling. No. Tanzania were ahead of us, and they didn't need the DNZ to do it. They have reshuffled.
They have reshuffled.
They have reshuffled.
Who are the big casualties?
The big casualties, if I turn to page 5, I will know them. It isn't casualties, really. They've just been moved around. You know what I mean? Okay? You don't want
Somebody must have come from a lofty patch to some
Yeah.
not so colourful one.
You find Minister of ICT moved around, others moved around also, etc. Look at it this way: Tanzania is not Kenya. These guys have just been moved around. Okay, ours, you first of all kicked out. Okay?
Brought back.
And then you are recycled. No, you are not fully recycled yet until Parliament says it's okay for you to be recycled.
Okay.
All right? Okay. Are there other things we need to look at? Money Juba, agony over Sudan export route. Yep, bit of a problem. The sad tale of the first Africans at the 1904 Olympics. Did you know that? Did you know that in 1904 there were some Africans who actually went to the Olympics? Are you aware?
In 1904.
1904.
What?
There was a marathon participant, Len Tau and Jan Mashiani of South Africa. Okay? Yes.
Which country were they representing?
South Africa, whatever it was called then, is the country they were representing.
Okay.
Okay.
So,
Other stories: humanitarian crisis persists globally. Very true. Lesson from Joe Biden's decision: aging. African leaders need not to cling to power. Sorry, we don't. That one we're not listening to.
No, sorry.
We are going to
Tell
cling to
somebody
power. If we don't die, we'll be removed. It's okay. Markets. Hope at last. This for Tanzania breweries. It has completed sale of its. Anyway, they've sold some of the shares of the breweries. That is the story. Okay. But this problem in DRC persists. They're saying fresh sanctions of armed groups in North Kivu. This story, I don't know when it will end.
DRC,
But I
man.
don't see it ending soon.
Oh, yeah.
I don't. I see it escalating. It's escalating.
But the sad bit of it is now, imagine, just the ordinary population
Yeah, what
who are
happens?
caught up in
That
this
is
thing.
tragically, it's beyond tragedy. You know, life just never moves.
Yep.
And when it moves in the wrong direction.
You're born into this, you live into this, you marry into this, you get children into this.
So that is your lived reality.
That's what your life is. It's really sad.
And yet, what is the issue here? Political leaders have decided to quarrel and to continue quarreling and not to sort this thing out. Because by the time grown-up people start blaming each other, so-and-so did this, we got that. So-and-so did that, we've also got that. So you find peace. No, we can't. Because this... And then it doesn't end. It doesn't end. So that area, whatever else you say, very little progress can be made. Because you're always on tenterhooks. It reminds me of the banditry we keep seeing in West Pokot and all these other areas.
Yep.
Just when you think it's quiet and it's peaceful, you are told bandits have...
You hear there's an attack.
There are even bandits in Parliament. MP's big clash over conflict of interest bill. The Conflict of Interest Bill 2023 is headed for mediation after the National Assembly rejected amendments by the Senate that watered down the legislation. While disagreeing with the Senate's changes to the bill, members of the National Assembly said the country needs a strong law to deal with corruption in the public sector and not one without enforcement mechanisms. So you can't just say well, you're not really allowed to, but, we're not going to do anything to you if you do. No, you can't have that kind of law. You need to be very clear and say, look, this is not allowed. Should it happen, this was going to happen to you. That's what members of parliament are saying. Senate, not so much. Senators passed radical amendments that effectively watered down the proposed law, which was designed to discourage corruption in public procurement that saw government officials influence the award of lucrative tenders to their firms, relatives and associates. The Senate changes that dismantled the bill came as President William Ruto last Wednesday outlined a series of measures to tackle corruption and indicated his readiness to veto any flawed legislation from Parliament. Now, the National Assembly Leader of Majority, Kimani Ichung'wah, led the charge against the Senate amendments, which he said undermined the fight against rampant graft in the public service. And he said, I quote, "We must stand with the people of Kenya." That's interesting. The bill is critical in the fight against corruption, but the Senate amendments have made it dysfunctional. The bill creates a fertile ground for corruption and conflict of interests to continue. Given the standoff between the two houses, a committee of equal representation from the National Assembly and the Senate is required to reach a compromise version of the bill within the 30 days to its formation. If the 30 days lapse before the committee reaches a middle ground, then the bill will be lost and can only be reintroduced after 6 months. This will deal a blow to the efforts to the fight corruption. So everybody's being told to play nice. If they can't play nice and you can't sit in the sandpit and, toss the ball and let everybody share, then the thing will go.
This thing, man. So the president said, yeah. In fact, with a serious caveat that if this thing comes, I'm not going to accept it. We know it's been in the public domain, the kind of amendments that the Senate introduced and passed, on top of the prior amendments that had been passed by the National Assembly. Now, where do you think they are going to reach an agreement? Some of those things that even the EACC was raising and saying, these are going to be serious flaws to the law.
They're not going to. We know. Some of these things, you can see them from very far off. They're not going to reach a compromise. The thing is going to be chucked out the window. We're going to sit for another 6 months before somebody comes and reintroduces it. And in the meantime, people are going to be able to do whatever they want and hire their nieces and their uncles' husbands and wives to
and give
do
them
business
jobs.
And give them jobs.
Aye.
Maybe it was pre-designed to be just that.
Aye. So, JKI, yesterday the president responded to this in that town hall in Mombasa. And he said, no, people, we are not selling the airport. Come on.
How can we sell an airport?
Surely. What's happening? Look at that airport of ours, right? We need to increase the number of visitors and visits and flights that land and take off from this place. We need to make it busy. We need to make it the primary hub for Africa. So to do that, we need money. It needs a lot of money. We don't have the money. The best way to do it is
sell it.
Give it to a company to invest the money and make their money back. But for us, what we are getting as a benefit is that we are getting people coming into Kenya and people taking off from Kenya and big international airlines operating from Kenya and paying us taxes and people visiting and bringing us money.
Put a mall in the airport.
And all those kind of things. Okay? Now, the Kenya Airports Authority employees will have to renegotiate their contracts with the possibility of job losses to some should India's Adani Airport Holdings win its bid to run JKIA for 30 years. Adani's proposed key concession terms to KAA, in which it intends to spend 246 billion shillings to upgrade and expand JKIA shows the firm would only absorb a portion of KAA's current workforce. The employees will then be hired on Adani's terms and conditions. Adani also wants to be allowed to bring non-Kenyans to be part of its workforce. KAA's latest annual report shows it had 1,801 employees by the end of June 2022. That's the entire KAA, not just JKIA.
Wait. Oh, sorry.
Kenya Airports Authority.
I get it. But this thing, by the time it's gotten to this point, then truly, that the negotiations have gone quite far.
Hey, my friend.
Hey, any.
Hey, my. Hey, lienda bwana. Hey. The clause on employment contradicts the assurances from the Kenya Airports Authority Acting Managing Director Henry Ogoye that the proposed deal does not come with any retrenchment risk. They have already had these conversations. Even KAA came out and confirmed. I wish to assure our staff that no jobs are at risk. I also wish to assure the airport business community and operators that the expanded facility will create additional business opportunities and attendant benefits. This is what Ogoye said in a statement last week on Wednesday. Adoni, this thing is still ongoing. You know, what are the terms and conditions? What would it be? Adoni, remember, presented its own proposal. They came, their own privately initiated proposal and said, guys, we are looking at your airport. This thing, it's not, stop calling it an airport.
It's just a
Jomo Kenyatta airstrip. We want to make it an airport. Okay? Now, for us to do that, we will come in with money, 246 billion shillings. We'll create a new runway. We'll create we'll build a new terminal. We'll put it for passengers. Plus also now look at, okay, other hospitality. Can we have a mall in here? Can we have extra hotels in here? Already we have 2 airport hotels right now at JKIA. Can we create some more? You know, all that, right? And make it operational. And for us to recover our 246 billion shillings, we need to run this airport for 30 years. Sasa.
with our own people.
We'll hire some people, and then we have to bring in some people.
Okay.
And right now, the people who are running the airport, they are our people, isn't it?
They are our people.
And planes are landing.
Yeah, somehow, and taking off.
And they're taking off.
Are they being rained on?
Even your luggage up here,
Oh,
it
yes, they're
comes.
being rained on.
Do we have power outages?
Yes, very much.
Sometimes.
All right. So we are saying that when Adani comes in, all these things will be something of the past completely.
We will not see
Will
power
not see
outages.
power outage. Raindrops will not fall on your
Okay,
head.
fine. Now,
Plane lands here, another plane lands on the other air. There
Okay.
are 2 runways.
One takes off.
Okay, now, I'd like to understand, comparatively speaking, are there other agencies other than Adani who could do the same thing? Everything that they have said, build a hotel, build runway, build shelter,
There are others, but they're not
bring power
interested.
backup. How do we know?
They have not brought their proposals.
No, that's what we've been told. How do we know?
These guys brought their proposals.
Was this an open tender? Do we know who it
was
is
not
who tendered?
These guys looked at your problem and they
They
came and offered a
proffered
solution.
solutions.
I have got that all
I
right.
can't come, City. I can't come with, I look at your problem, I come with a solution, and then you tell me now that you've opened my eyes, now let me also look around. But that's
No.
not fair.
Why are you coming and telling
Bwana,
me my
that's not
problem
fair,
as though I
Bwana.
don't know my problem?
You don't know it. That's why you don't have a solution.
Actually, if you tell me I have a problem, then I'll say, okay, I have heard about what you've said.
Let me go and mull over it.
Exactly,
and
then let me talk to my cousin.
Thank you very much for your
my
offer.
cousin has a relative who actually understands these airport things. Yes, and then we talk about it. Then we say, I've heard what you've said, but I spoke to my cousin, and this is what my cousin said. Okay.
And
Then-
go speak to-
Your cousin
unless
is fine.
You who came
Just
with the
don't bring
solution,
me
you
a
and I have
competitor.
a
Don't
deal
come
on
and
the
tell me
table.
you went and spoke to my competitor.
I did not speak to your competitor. I spoke to my cousin. Yes.
So these ones, JKA has spoken to the cousin.
Let me tell you,
The cousin sits and
this thing has SGR written all over it.
Kabisa?
Completely.
Absolutely.
I'm actually looking at this figure and thinking 246 billion shillings.
What?
Only.
246 billion shillings only.
I know.
And for these 30 years,
Plus everything inside, plus.
246 billion.
They're jokes. Huh?
We can't raise 246 billion shillings.
We can. Are you saying that all this money the government is borrowing from banks and from us essentially that we can't fork out that money to do this thing? Huh?
If the government did an IFB the other day and they took 600 billion shillings from the market.
Surely.
Yes? Okay, it was at 18%. But
Doesn't matter.
It's better than this IRR of 18% over 30 years again.
So wonder, $2 billion, swanky brand new airport.
Yes, no.
Not runway, not
Everything.
not swanky brand new airport. Spanking.
Even spanking. The airport is even spanking. Hey.
This one, old airport, you've added runway. We already have a runway. You've added something else. We already have.
Spunking new runway.
Yes.
Spunking new terminal.
Yes.
Spunking new hotel.
Yeah.
That's a spunking new airport in addition to the spunking old
throwing
airport.
That in Kiswahili what you call kiraka, patchwork. Because we already had those things. You've just added. And then you're telling us it's almost twice what it costs the Rwandese to build a swanky new airport. Ah, man,
Don't carry people pumpkin.
Imeenda lakini tafuteni kitu ingine.
Sister, this one.
Tafuteni kitu ingine. Hii ishaenda. Onyonka is coming. He's raising those questions in the Senate. He'll come and tell us. He has more details. Right? There's a senator for Kisii County, Richard Onyonka. He'll be here. He's our next guest at 7 a.m. Keep it here for more. Good morning. 7 o'clock.
Spice up your life.
Good morning, this is the News Wire. I'm La Ubaga. The Parliamentary Services Commission and Law Society of Kenya are yet to recommend the names of their representatives in the IEBC Commissioners Selection Panel ahead of tomorrow's deadline. Other institutions that contribute to the panel are the Interreligious Council of Kenya, SPARC, and Political Parties Liaison Committee. Already, religious leaders have recommended Nelson Makanda and Fatuma Hassan, while SPARC has recommended Andrew Kipkoech Tanui. The Political Parties Liaison Committee has recommended Evans Misati, Nicodemus Bore, and Augustus Muli. In its first sitting, the panel will select its chairperson and vice chair and thereafter invite applications from potential IBC candidates. The names will thereafter be considered and shortlisted before interviews begin. The process should be completed in the next 90 days. 5 people have sustained injuries after a man armed with a sharp knife stormed Deliverance Church in Kisii. The man disrupted the service, stabbing members of the congregation, including Kisii Central OCPD, who was attending the church service. The attack was neutralized and arrested by Kisii police officers, and his knife has also been recovered. The incident follows a July 20th, 2024 altercation witnessed in another church in Kisii, which saw 10 people injured.
Kisu alikuwa amefungia na handkerchief kwa mkono ya right, akaanza kutafuta venye anaweza dunga watu. So mimi kama ofisa wa kwanza alinidunga, alafu sasa nikaanza kushout akona kisu.
Ya kuokovya sana, sababu ikiwa sasa watu wamechukua advantage ya kuja kanisa, watu wakiwa wameenda kuabudu Bwana, imekuwa imeleta uoga sana. So alikuwa amejifunga tu. Sasa ungeona uso wake because alikuwa ameweka black goggles na mask ya black. Sasa hakuwa anaonekana, lakini intention ilikuwa labda alikuwa anataka kuua watu bila alikuwa anasema.
Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka has urged members of parliament in his party to reject the appointment of ODM members nominated for cabinet secretary positions. The Azimio co-principal told members of his party not to approve the appointment of the 4 when they'll appear in parliament for vetting.
Mimi nimetoa direction kama party leader kwa Wiper members of parliament, an important member of Azimio. Hawa majina ya watu 4 ikiletwa kwa bunge kwa kupatiwa idhini, wana Wiper pigeni no.
And Kalonzo questioned how the 4 cabinet nominees would work in the government that they strongly opposed on grounds of oppressing Kenyans.
Nataka niuliza hawa wenzetu hawa ambao wameenda, kweli wanaamini ile mpangilio wa kiuchumi wa Ruto unaitwa bottom up? Hiyo bottom up imeonyesha ulegevu mkubwa, haiaminiki, sijui ni sera aina gani. Yani nyinyi sasa mtaenda kuimba hiyo? Waziri ambaye atateuliwa wa fedha atatekeleza yale ambayo tulikuwa tunang'ang'ana nayo last year. I'll give him an example. Housing levy ama housing tax, kila mwananchi wa Kenya analipa. Na hii housing levy ni wizi mtupu, wizi wa ajabu.
Supreme Court Judge Smoking Wanjala will today preside over the launch of the Alternative Justice System Courts in Kitale, Trans Nzoia County. Wanjala, who will be received by Kitale High Court Judge Anthony Murima, is also scheduled to hold a meeting with Governor George Natembeya before the event. Judge Murima says the new court will help reduce the backlog of cases at the county's High Court.
Kwa sababu ya kwamba miundo msingi yetu hii haijabadilika, kuna congestion katika mahakama. Tumejaribu kupata msaada hapa na pale. Tumeweza kujenga koti 2, ziko na open court, ziko na chamber ya magistrate, ziko na facility zote kuanza utilize. Kesi ambazo tunaweza kusema tuna handle katika hii koti kwa siku ni nyingi. Kuna koti za magistrates 10. Alafu tuko na koti ambayo iko sawa na High Court ya mashamba, na alafu tuko na High Court 1, na pia tuko na Employment and Labor Relations Court. Wiki moja ndani ya mwezi judge wa hiyo court huwa anakuja hapa na anafanya kazi zake hapa. Tuna magistrate.
And that's the news wire. I'm Lea Ubaga.
SpiceFM, Nakuru.
All right, where are we this morning? At a few minutes after 7 o'clock, are we seeing traffic starting to build around the city? Yes, we are. A little bit of that is starting to get a little bit crazy coming off of the Eastern Bypass. You're going to come from that Ruai interchange all the way through towards North Airport Road and Cabanas. It's starting to inch up. Also on the Thika Superhighway, traffic coming in from Zimmerman out towards Kasarani. And then we're looking at traffic also building up through towards the Pangani underpass. That's going to be busy for some time. Kiambu Road, also some traffic is crazy. And also on Gong Road, traffic is then piling as you get towards Community. That's where the craziness is for now. Let's keep an eye on things and see what happens as we get into Traffic Hour. SpiceFM KE on X. Hashtag the Situation Room.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Oko, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latin, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
7 minutes after 7. How are you doing on this 29th day of July 2024? Welcome to the second hour. Kenya's biggest conversation, The Situation Room, live on SpiceFM, on KTN Home, on YouTube, on Facebook, on X, on TikTok. Everywhere we are, on Radio Garden, across the globe. Karibuni sana. Have you heeded the call by Britain to remove the money from under the mattress, or from your pocket, or from your wallet, and actually just put it somewhere where it grows in value? This is the Britam Money Market, or the Britam Smart Yield Fund.
Exactly. So imagine the money market fund, 13.5% interest is what you could actually earn on the money that you take out of your sock and put it into this account, right? Or you could be at 14% if you put it in the smart yield account, and basically watching your money grow as opposed to watching it mold under your mattress. So that's what we're saying. What you can do today: put your money into a fund whereby Britain activates that for you, and you actually see your money become something else in the short term or in the long term. Also, here using the chance to start opening an account and put some money into that account today. Put 1,000 shillings into that account today. Send us a screenshot of what you've done on our socials, any of our socials, in the DM specifically. You could win 5,000 shillings today. CT has the numbers of who you could, ke.britam.com or 0.
Well, it's not 0. The SMS number is 21778.
That's what I meant.
Yes, I'm sure that's what you meant.
Yeah.
SMS the word SMART to 21778 and you get assistance. They'll call you back. Or if you'd like to invest, you go to ke.britam.com. You'll see Save and Invest as a top tab there. Click on that. It opens up now the options. Select the Britam Money Market or Britam Smart Yield. Click on Start Investing. They bring you a form. Okay, so just give them the details that they're asking for. Okay, and then start saving. When they ask you for a promo code, tell them SpiceFM. Okay, don't say, just write SpiceFM. Sawa. Okay. Our next conversation is going to be on this system of ours, all right? So the Gen Zs have basically just done what we've been doing, and they've been sitting in our homes and watching us and seeing our frustration and said, something is not right here. I mean, this thing is not working. If it's not working, why don't we just change the whole thing?
Get rid of it.
Yeah. But is it that it's not working by design, or is it that it's not working just because some things, have not worked well? And that's why we have invited Senator Richard Onyonka from Kisii County to come and be our guest for the next hour. Senator, good morning.
Good morning, Latif.
How are you doing?
Better than you.
Better? Clearly.
Yes.
It's good to have you here. Welcome to the hot seat of the Situation Room.
I'm happy to be back home. I have been on sabbatical a little bit. Senate is very busy. It's very, very busy. And essentially it's a matter of running around, but otherwise everything is fine.
Okay.
Yes.
City will welcome you with the day's proverb. This week the proverb is from a landlocked African country.
Yes, we'll be looking at landlocked countries. We have been looking at island nations of Africa. Now we're looking at landlocked countries. And we are in the Republic of Burundi, whose capital is Gitega. Bujumbura is just the largest city. And in case you're wondering, they have a population of around 1.8 million people.
1.8 million?
No, in Burundi.
In the entire country?
In the entire country.
1.8 million?
Yes. And I know people who live in Kenya and who are Kenyans like thinking of how we have 47 counties. They have provinces, and they're only 18. Okay? Yes, as I mentioned. Okay. Now the proverb, you set the trap after the rat passed.
You set the trap after the rat passed.
Yes.
Senator, what's your interpretation of this proverb?
My interpretation, I hope I'm right, is that the reason why that statement is the way it's open-ended is because you do not. It's actually advising you, make sure you don't set the trap once the rat has left. But in the African context, it leaves you open-ended so that you can use your common sense to decide whether you're going to set up the trap or not. Yes. And TC, I have one, which is actually very, very important for the current situation. Yes. If you see a lion eating grass, don't you think that lion is not a carnivore? The reason why it's eating the grass is because it's saving itself.
It's survival mode.
It's survival mode. Why? Because when lions eat grass, or even dogs, that's how they kill the worms. Simple.
It's medicating.
Yes. So when we are telling our brothers in government and some of us that this thing has to be changed, let's eat grass so that we can fix it. That's what it means.
Eat grass to save yourselves.
Yes.
Or else the worms are going to finish you.
Yes.
Hey. You walked in as we were just looking at the papers, and there's a story in The Nation, there's a story in the Business Daily. The story in The Nation is red flag in Adani JKIA deal mirror auditors 2018 concerns. They quote you extensively in that story.
Yes.
The one in the Business Daily is talking about India firm is job cuts, new terms for KAA staff in deal. Of course, we've seen this, and you have raised this matter in Parliament.
Yes.
On this particular deal.
Yes.
That's under discussion right now,
Right.
between the Kenya Airports Authority and this private Indian company.
True.
The president yesterday was asked the same question at the town hall in Mombasa, and he said, we are not selling the airport. The conversation that's ongoing is on how best we can improve the airport. And how can we do that? If we don't have the money, can we get somebody who has the money? Can they do it? PPP is the way to go now in the world.
Latif, let me help the president. When you're head of state, you should talk to your people who think sometimes for you. Why is the president commenting about this issue when I've already asked the question, when I've asked for documents? And I've said what I want him to do is not that whether the airport is being sold or not. Let him just give us the agreement. That's what the law says. There needed to have been public participation. Stakeholders should have been called. The people at the Kenya Airports Authority, some of our Kenyans who are working there, you can see the stories coming out that they're going to lose their jobs. And guess what? It's like Kenyans cannot work at the airport simply by even doing some of the jobs which some of them do and they don't like them. And you're being told that here it is that you're going to take your airport. And by the way, contrary to what the president has said, it's not only JKIA. It's that all the airstrips in the Republic of Kenya are going to be managed by this company.
All aerodromes.
Absolutely. And the parliamentary committee, which was there by the year 2019-20, where Honorable Kosing was the chair, made a recommendation that there is nothing you can IPP with national airports. Why? Because they border on national security. That is it. I mean, what else do I need to do? All I'm asking him to do is let him tell his people, including my friend Kositani, to give us the documents at the Senate. That will vindicate them if what they are saying is true. You notice the first time Musalia said, oh, by the way, there is actually no agreement like this. The next time KAA issued a statement, they said, no, we have an agreement like that, and we are going to consult all the stakeholders so that we can come up with a good idea. And that, why is Musalia saying there's no contract and there's no agreement, and yet this guy from KAA?
Is there an agreement?
There must be. That's what the letter from KAA said.
The Airports Authority said they have received an investment proposal under the PPP Act of 2021 from the Adani Airport Holdings Limited, a key airport operator, to invest in a new passenger terminal building, second runway, and refurbishment of the existing facilities at JKIA.
Yes.
And their specific is JKIA.
Yes.
The proposal will be subjected to technical, financial and legal reviews alongside requisite due process in compliance with the Public-Private Partnerships Act. The project agreement will be preceded by stakeholder engagement, the National Treasury approval, the Attorney General's clearance, and the Cabinet approval. I wish to assure our staff that no jobs are at risk. I also wish to assure the airport business community and operators that the expanded facility will create additional business opportunities and attendant benefits. This is Henry Agote, the acting managing director. So the CEO is basically saying we are still at the preliminary stages.
I don't know that. Neither do you.
We have. That's what he says.
Nobody knows.
I'm saying what he says is we have received.
Yes.
We have. It's now at the preliminary. We have received. The next things that we're going to do is subjected through the due process.
When you are provided with documents to the company that is trying to negotiate an IPP with you, don't you have terms and conditions of engagement?
That's the law. That's what he's saying.
So let him produce those terms.
There's a public procurement.
Let them give us those terms.
It would appear as though things have actually progressed quite far in this whole discussion.
Yes.
And we're actually beyond a place where somebody says, oh, look, Kenya has an airport which I think could actually need some help. A solution is being proffered here.
Yes.
It seems as though it's gone a lot further than that until one particular organized company has been named. This is what the plan has.
Absolutely.
We're looking at numbers like 18% over the next 30 years.
All the details.
Would we have such details on such progression if it was merely at just proposal stage where, hey guys, I think I can do something for you? Would we have such details at this stage?
My honest question is exactly from what you are saying, and this is the point I'm making. You can't sign, you can't begin to engage on unpaid. Let me put it this way, Latif. If somebody comes here, and this is another matter that is going to be discussed another day, you hear how the Emiratis and certain individuals are coming to the country, and they're leasing public land, and that land negotiations are taking place, and it's not in public, but it's being handled by the guys in the Ministry of Lands, privately with certain individuals who have already signed an MOU, which then gives them the template. What is the MOU that the Kenyan government has received from the Adani Group? That's what I want to see.
You want to
Because
see, you want to
that
see the
tells
proposal,
you-
the proposal that they have submitted.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I thought I've seen you elsewhere, Senator, saying that you got those documents.
Yeah, what I have, I want the government to give me what they have.
Okay. So beyond those documents that
Yes.
are from Adani,
Yes.
do you have any other document from KAA to Adani?
Let me ask you a different question. Did you ever know about Adani until I talked about it?
Well, yeah, we had
Isn't
heard-
everybody writing about Adani now?
We-
Why are you intending to question me and ask me the questions as if I'm the one who has committed the crime?
Well, you
let
be-
let
well,
the government,
No, no, no,
let the government.
don't be defensive.
No, I'm not. I'm not.
I come in peace.
Latif,
Hold on.
Latif,
Let's start again.
Latif.
Let's start again.
Yes.
Let's start again. So, there's somebody who blew the whistle
yes,
using you.
yes,
They gave you documents.
That's true.
From Adani.
yes.
And that is their proposal to KAA.
Thank you.
Okay? So you have that.
Yes.
Did they also give you any other documents? For example,
Yes.
a response from KAA
Yes.
to Adani saying we are in receipt and we shall discuss, or come next week we meet. Do you have anything?
Why would you want me to give you my evidence?
I'm asking, do you have?
I'm saying, yes, I do.
You do have that?
Yes, but I will not give it to anybody until the time. You see, what I'm saying, Latif, is this. I don't think the question on this table today is whether Adani exists or not. It did not exist. We have disclosed they exist. We have then raised an issue saying there are certain things and there are certain issues which are about this company called Adani. We then gone further and received more information and realized every single thing Adani has touched is a con game. Everything. You can go, they've done something in Malawi, they've done something in Australia. It's online. You see what the company has been. And what we are saying, even when you're telling us that Adani is telling us that they're going to give us 1.2, I think it's about close to 2 billion shillings for the partial development of the airstrip. What we know is that other countries like Rwanda, they have actually gotten the Qataris who have built a brand new airport for them for $2 billion and they're going to give them 40 aircraft for them to continue supporting their airline. Why would I complain about such a deal? Even if it was the Rwandan deal, I would still have wanted to see what the agreement talks about.
That's fair.
That is all.
That's what I'm asking. So,
Yes.
do you have any information that you can share here with us?
No,
that you have seen?
not on radio because you know
Because
the
you've
matter
already-
is in court.
You've
I
already
hope you
told
know.
us
I
what-
hope you know the matter
what
is in court.
Adani has, what you've seen, what Adani has asked from KAA.
Yes.
What has KAA told Adani?
My argument is very simple. I have done my job of going to the Senate, asking questions, and I'm waiting for the answers to be given by the government. If I give any more information, I'm dirtying the water.
Okay.
Yes.
What information do you want from the government? What information should the government be providing the public?
Thank you. That they have an agreement which they have agreed or they had. This is another question. How did they single source Adani? All right. We have single sourced one company. We are giving it this company. And I'm saying this because this, you see, when you are a whistleblower, when you receive information, the information that you get, if it adds up and begins to make sense, then there are certain particular government institutions who have the responsibility to do a forensic, a proper investigative trajectory, and who will make sure they clear the balance of this matter. What I'm saying is everything that I'm receiving from Kenya Airports Authority, from the Cabinet Prime Minister, from the President himself, they are no longer saying the deal doesn't exist. They are saying, actually, we are engaging. My argument as an oversight officer is to ask the government, give us the terms and conditions of your engagement.
Why would it be difficult to give over such terms of agreement?
That is why I'm waiting for them to deliver this to the Senate. And that is why I'm saying there was absolutely no need for the president to talk. Because the institutions that we have are the ones who would have said, I think EACC and DCI, I know that the airport has not been sold or whatever that he says, but I think let us use institutions to investigate and confirm whether this matter is real or not.
And legit.
And legit.
What we're doing here with the questions is to help you with the oversight role.
True.
So, what documents have you sought from KA? Can you give us a list of the documents? Well, we can also now know.
Unfortunately, you didn't ask me to bring you the request from my request at the Senate. But I'll remember verbatim. I may not have, because it's even online.
Yeah.
I have asked them to give me who the directors, first of all, of Adani are. I want to know whether the company has got registration locally or not, if it's an international company. I have asked for them to tell me where else this company has done the work like what we have here, including India, where they run 9 airports and it's a disaster. And I've asked them to give me the memorandum of understanding that they have drafted with the Kenyan government and any other necessary information that they may see fit for me to understand what they have negotiated.
Okay.
Yes.
Have they given indication to the Senate that
they have not responded?
They are going to respond to
essentially the system and the Senate is that, and that's another thing I think, that's when we discuss the issue of the system being broken, is that there is nothing that is urgent. There's nothing that you can demand under certificate of urgency, especially a matter like this, that would demand that either we fast track such a matter or we fast track the questions that I'm raising. So the normal process is going to take another 2 weeks, before the matter then is referred to the appropriate committee. Then the committee is going to sit and see whether they have the quorum. Then they will ask me to come and they will ask the Kenya Airports Authority to come. It might take even a month.
But is this thing inked? Is this deal already inked? Is there an agreement that's going on? Is the airport, and as you've said here, allegedly in this documentation or whatever the agreement may be, other airstrips, aerodromes in the country.
Yes.
Is it already a done deal? Where are we with all of this? It just seems like there's documentation being requested for, and there could be a lot of other things already happening in the back end.
That is my problem. One of the issues is, when I was raising this issue, I had 2 reasons why I was raising it. Issue number 1 was to raise this issue because the public was not aware of it, and to inform the public that there's something going on of national interest, and I think the public needs to know. Number 2, if I was to give you an answer and say, yes, I know then you tell me, give me the agreement. I don't know. That is why I've asked the question that I want this information to be brought by the committee so that then we can interrogate the matter to its logical conclusion. If they say there's no agreement like that, then we'll go down and start discussing about the legalese in terms of, has the public been engaged? Have we had public hearings on the matter? Is there any other evidence which we have not considered? I would also love to bring the Adani people. Are you with me? So that they can also tell us what is it that they've been discussing with the Kenyan government.
So there is a possibility that all of these processes that you're asking about are actually unfolding.
There is a possibility that it's actually...
that there will be public hearings, there will be public participation, that there will be, an open a display of said agreement if there is one, and that the proper procedures and processes will actually be followed.
The reason why I asked the question is that I didn't believe that we are at that stage. My argument is either agreements, and this is the conviction I have, that certain agreements have been signed, and when these individuals in government realized that we have actually disclosed this information, they then started to pedal. They're saying, we are actually not having this agreement, we are going to follow the law, everything is fine, and that is where we are. And my argument is very simple. I understand the arguments they're making. Give me the evidence on what you have agreed to do with the Adani company.
Yes. According to the law,
yes,
what should happen should a company
Yes.
say Onyonka and Latif Associates,
Yes.
that builds airports and runs airport facilities.
Yes.
Should a company like that come and approach Kenya Airports Authority and say, we see you a small airstrip called JKIA and we'd like to upgrade it to world status, and we'd like to get into an agreement on that. What should the steps be according to the law in Kenya?
Thank you. Very good question. It should have been advertised. Has anybody seen anywhere where it was advertised by the Kenyan government wants to solicit services of a company or an investment firm that wants to spend $2 billion to either renovate, refurbish, or reconstruct an airport in Kenya?
Okay, but in this case,
Yes.
from what we're seeing, is that it is Onyonka and Latif that approached Kenya Airports Authority,
True.
not that Kenya Airports Authority had put out a tender or an advertisement.
No, there is no government transaction that will take place where somebody walks in and said, let's do this.
Someone can
That is
just come and propose.
Absolutely none. If they propose, then the government in itself, through the Ministry of Finance, would actually advertise that. So that, Latif, what is public interest?
Transparent.
So that transparency is there, so that the public knows that we are now giving out our airports.
Okay.
After that process, then companies will come. It's exactly the same way I'm giving you the case for Rwanda. How can Rwanda negotiate an agreement where the Qatari government, and you remember the story about government to government? This is now the beauty of government to government. The Qatari government negotiates with the Rwandese government. They are being built an airport, a brand new airport for $2 billion. I'm told it's an incredible facility. What does then the Qatari government do? In the negotiations with the Rwandese government, they then agree that they are actually going in the deal to supply the Rwandese government with 40 new planes so that Rwanda can capture the African market. The software of that agreement, I don't have it because I'm not Rwandese. What I'm saying is the software that I'm asking for from the government of Kenya vis-a-vis our relationship with Adani is what I'm asking for. What is it that you have negotiated and what is the fine print? As an interested party, as a Kenyan, and for the public, shouldn't the public know what we have negotiated?
Okay.
Shouldn't the workers who are working at these airports know that their jobs are at stake? Shouldn't we know that when these people come, do they also take over the duty-free facilities? Do they run the taxis which are running from the airport? Do they then bring their employees and put them there and chase out all the Kenyans who are working?
All those things need
I
to be
believe
clear.
these are national
So the steps,
interest
again,
matter.
first of all, advertise and go to the public and say, we are considering the expansion of JKIA.
Absolutely.
And we are seeking interested parties.
Yes, then
And-
various individuals
and we
will
are
come. There will
closing
be a
this thing in
public
2
hearing
weeks.
on the matter,
Okay.
and they will deliberate on that publicly. And then after that, there will be, with the committee that is sitting on those hearings, they'll write a recommendation as to whether we can proceed with this matter or not.
And none
After
of
that, if the public hearings make a recommendation, that is the ideal situation, that we can proceed and build this. Then what happens naturally? The ministry now says we have now again made a request that the companies that we are asking for, this is what we want, this is what we want, and there will be like 50 or 30 companies that are coming. And of course, the law says you pick the one that is going to do the facility and cheapest and all the other things that matter.
And Richard, this is the Public-Private Partnership Act,
Yes.
2021.
True.
That is being quoted.
Yes.
That's a process that is required.
That is a process.
That needs to be followed.
That is what the MD of KAA was talking about. He was giving a narrative about what has not happened. The question I'm raising is, what if it has happened?
Okay.
Yes.
28 minutes to 8. Our guest this morning is the Senator for Kisii County, Richard Onyonka. He's our guest this morning. Why government systems in Kenya are designed to fail. And we're using the example of what's currently hot in the public domain, the matter that he's raised in Parliament. This proposed public-private partnership between the Kenya Airports Authority and Adani. Good morning.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
A touch of gold and class is what you need to up your fashion game. Think Twice brand, your fashion partner over 10 years that operates 36 branches across the country, brings you Think Twice Gold in Thindigwa, Kiambu Road on the 27th of this month. Think Twice Gold offers a unique and golden collection of high-end brands, quality and fashion. We will be launching new stylish collection every month, a daily drop in prices to deliver unmatched value to our customers. And also, we will be adding more stock and variety every day. Think Twice Gold. Go bold, go gold.
A true friend understands your dreams and aspirations and is there to offer you support in achieving your goals. With a friend like Britam, we offer you the support you need when it comes to saving for that dream home, purchasing property, expanding your business, or saving towards a comfortable retirement. Invest your money in Britam Smart Yield today and start earning returns above 13% per annum. You can start with as little as 1,000 shillings. SMS SMART to 21778. Visit ke.britam.com or visit any Britam branch countrywide to speak to a financial advisor. Britam is your friend for life. Britam Smart Yield funds are invested in the Britam Bond Plus Fund. Britam Asset Managers is regulated by the Capital Market.
Nairobi this morning at 13 degrees. We'll see highs of 23 and highs of 23 in a cloudy Nakuru at 15. It's 14 and cloudy in Nyeri, going to highs of 21. And we'll see highs of 22 in what will be a sunny day in Eldoret. It's 22 and cloudy in Mombasa with highs of 30, and we'll see highs of 29 in a mostly cloudy Malindi at 25. It's 21 and sunny in Kisumu with highs of 27. While at 19, it's partly sunny in Kakamega. We'll see highs of 27. Kampala is sunny at 18 with highs of 28, and at 21, Dar es Salaam will go to highs of 30. And it's now 1 degree in Johannesburg. We'll see highs of just 18 if they get there. Mogadishu is sunny at 26 with highs of 29, and Addis Ababa is cloudy at 13 with highs of 20. Lagos at 25 is sunny with highs of 29, cloudy into the afternoon, and at 21 it's cloudy in Kinshasa, going to highs of 29 and lows of 20.
.5 Spice FM, Kisumu.
All right, it's coming in heavy on the Thika Superhighway this morning. Traffic is bumper to bumper all the way from Garden City. And if we look beyond that, I think we're fine. Coming in through Githurai, through towards just that Garden City area. That's where we have some traffic building, and it's going to go all the way through towards the Globe Cinema roundabout on Muranga Road. It's also very busy on Kiambu Road. That traffic is going to spin round through towards Muthaiga Square, and I'm going to keep an eye on that. Now, this is when the Eastern Bypass is giving proper, and it's going all the way through towards North Airport Road, and it's going to spill over towards Outer Ring. That's very busy. Manyanja Road spills towards Jogo Road. That's busy as well. Let's look at another J. It's James Gishuru, and that's really busy as you come through towards Waiaki Way. Traffic then going towards the Red Hill Link Road. We are in traffic hour. Let's see what happens as we go through Monday morning. We'll talk on SpiceFM KE on X, hashtag The Situation Room.
Intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
So our conversation continues with the Kisii Senator Richard Onyonka on, just holding the government accountable. And you're saying you've asked for all this information. It may take a while for you to get the information that you're seeking because of the processes in Parliament. Are there no instances where it can be a matter of urgency? Where you can say, you know what, we stand the risk. The process has already started.
Yes.
And we as the oversight body are coming in a bit late.
Yes.
We can fast track this so we catch up with the process.
To be honest with you, it's a catch-22 we are in. Because again, the fear, and that comes under the standing orders, if the fear that I think when we were drafting the standing orders for the Senate, is that if you create a scenario where critical matters are going to be raised in terms of certificate of urgency. I mean, this is a national. So you remember when we had floods?
Yep.
It was, I think, after 1.5 weeks that we were able to discuss those floods. And yet people were already dying. People were already being shifted from the areas they were living in the slums and all that. So it's a complex legal kind of space whereby, as I said, I may not be able to get the to the Senate to discuss this matter urgently because it has come up. But the reality is that I was able to then use also the gaps that exist within the standing orders, where, for example, I tabled the document and immediately became a public document. That helped me in having the narrative begin. Number two, then we also are allowed by law these days to actually send mail. I sent mail with the same questions to the Kenya Airports Authority. And instead of them answering to me on my mail, they put a statement out there in public. So for me, I'm waiting for them. They don't even have to send the mail anymore because I've tabled the questions, and I'm expecting that they will, at the right time, come and tell us. If they tell us that they have been talking with these guys, maybe some places where they play golf and nothing was discussed, money wasn't discussed and everything, Latif, I'll say hallelujah. Our airports are there.
And they're safe.
And they're safe.
So does this not broaden now this conversation that we're speaking of now? Because if we speak just about these processes, which seem to be, steeped in bureaucracy, this person must write to this person and then we wait for whatever to happen and then time just continues to lapse. Because there are two scenarios that could play out here. The last, which you've just said,
yes.
It's very possible that there is an explanation to all of this and there is nothing wrong completely,
yes.
And everything is fine, we move on. Yes. Or the other reality, the possibility that there's actually a deal that has gone on and nobody is any wiser. And that there is a possibility that there is this company and is doing 1, 2, 3. But again, if we broaden this conversation,
yes.
Does it now, just when we talk about systems of government, it seems as though the system is intentionally designed to eat itself. That the stomach juices are there to consume itself, whereby you're asking for proper governance of things, but the very procedures within which it is crafted make it so difficult to play out good governance. How do you do that if I have to wait for an odd month or two for a simple answer to be given, within which time anything could go wrong?
You are asking the question I wish I was asking. I want to say this, and I've said it before. Latif, we have a country that has the hardware looks normal. If you drive through our roads, we'll complain about how we have potholes and everything. But if you drive from here and you're going to Nakuru, you'll go through Naivasha, you'll see people building things, you'll see there are hotels there, you'll see a few tourists walking around. You drive to Nakuru, you'll see Nakuru is growing, it's developing. When you hit Kisumu, you notice that Governor Nyang has made the place clean. Kisumu now looks... The hardware is okay. What it has taken me, and this is why I tell people, I am not saying this because I think I am better or because I think I am more moral than anybody else. I joined the Senate. I started to see things which gave me a pattern. There is a pattern if you sit with intellectuals very carefully, people who've done finance and development matters and who have done auditing, and they will tell you that our system, and I've said this before, Latif, this system did not collapse because of William Ruto. This system has been collapsed deliberately and intentionally for a period of close to 30, 40 years from the time we got independence. When we started our republic, and when I can give an example, when I was going to school, kids went to school. You were not asked to pay fees. Do you see? Am I lying?
You're not lying.
Then after that, kids started going to secondary school with Kibaki. And they were going to school. Then, at some point, I started noticing that you're having kids who are leaving primary school, going to secondary school, and by the time we go to university, you all of a sudden notice that there is something that is not working. There's something that is wrong. And I started looking at the nitty-gritties. How can you have universities where all our women, children who are going to school, you open a university which doesn't have hostels? What do you do to these women, ladies, and even the young men? They go and live in shanty towns where you are acting and pretending that they are going to university, yes, because they are only able to pay 2,000 shillings to live in that damn place. Then you expect that these are the people who are going to come out, the senior good citizens who are going to observe the law, who are going to be fair, who are going to be... No, you're exposing our children to this man-eat-man society. Then you hear stories from the universities how the best students, some of those who are called the best students, are the ones whose parents can actually afford to bribe the system of the professorships and all these people to make sure a child who's supposed to get a pass in the university moves maybe even up to the upper second class. Kids who are supposed to be doing medicine, now I realize, and I'm a senator, that the government wants to change the costing of what this young man or woman is going to study in the university, and he has to pay 1.5 million shillings. This is a child whose father sold the last quarter acre of land, which they had, for the boy to go to, or the girl to go to university and be a medical doctor. Then here you are as a country, and what are you doing with the money that is supposed to help such a child or such a young person? And that is what we are now having fun with.
Senator, do I hear you to be saying...
Yes.
That when you look at the landscape we refer to as Kenya...
Yes.
And with reference to some of these mega projects that we have...
Yes.
The problem is not this Adani project. The problem is the history we've had with such projects.
Absolutely. Absolutely. How did Anglo leasing start? What happened to the Kamlesh Patni story? There's a trend. And what is shocking to me, I came to discover that actually Adani has a connection to the Goldenberg scandal.
Oh, for crying out loud. Okay.
I mean, there's a system deliberately which manipulates, and it's not just happening in Kenya. It is a trend that there are companies and the individuals on the African continent who realize how we have been made complacent. That even when we are taking our natural resources, Latif, what happened to the oil we were carrying to Mombasa? Remember there were trucks carrying oil for testing?
Oh, yeah.
What happened?
We sold it.
What happened?
We sold it.
That oil had problems.
All right. Why did it have the problems? Now let me tell you.
Came from Turkana.
Let me tell you. It is the ruling class that went to Turkana County and bought blocks of the land where this oil is. When Tulo was trying to mine the oil, they were told, you see, the 25% you're supposed to give the Turkana and what you're supposed to give government, you also must give us because the land is ours. Jesus Christ, that's the Turkana's land. So by us circumventing the system, we go and buy those blocks.
Yep.
We then make it impossible for the oil to be picked so that we can then either begin to refine it in Kenya so that then we can have cheaper oil in the Republic. What happens? The deal stopped. And you can run. I was mentioning to somebody last week, and I want to say this. I have never felt so proud of Kenyans. Kenyans are sending me documents that are shocking. An executive discussion. I have an executive document which somebody sent me from Washington, D.C., where he was telling me, the World Bank and the IMF are wondering what's wrong with you Kenyans. I said, why? They are saying, why are you not able to negotiate with the American government so that you sell them your rare minerals, which you have, and the Americans are willing to pay up to about 120 billion US dollars. That should be enable you guys to pay your debts. That should be able to have your free education and everything. And I said, which minerals did you say? Rare minerals. What do rare minerals do? Stealth technology. That is the mineral that is used to make the hardest steel in the world. That even the bombs cannot blow up. That's steel. That is what we have.
Vibranium.
How many times have you heard how much gold we have in Ukolomani? I mean, how many years have you heard that Ikolomani didn't have any gold and everything? And what are the Chinese doing there now?
They're mining gold.
Why are they moving out Kenyans from where the gold is and they are roughshoding our people? If it wasn't that Umtata is running there to rush to court, or for us to start talking about these things. I mean, why are we behaving like cowboy economists?
You know, most Kenyans don't even know that we have iron ore in this country. I'm one of those Kenyans.
The iron ore is being picked right now. How did we give out Tiomen? How did we give Tiomen out? It has been mined for the last 20 years. What were they mining? Being carried out by ships outside Taita Taveta and Kwale.
You know, the immediate former president, late president of Tanzania,
yes,
had found himself in a similar situation with minerals in this country. And he said, stop.
Yes.
You are not cutting this thing as an unfinished product.
Yes.
You're going to process it
Here.
Then we can talk about the finished product and the value
Exactly.
and how it works.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, we have uranium, and yet nobody talks about it.
So all these things.
Latif, do you see how much companies are coming from Europe and are on the eastern coast of our coast, and they are mining millions of tons of fish?
Yep.
And that money is just shared by people. I mean, so when we get this information, I can run from, you've heard my speech before, where we are telling farmers, grow maize, and yet the people who are in government and the biggest dealers in this town import maize, they depress the prices of these people who you are trying to help. I mean, you can talk about sugar, you can talk about maize, you can talk about... And then when you go to the county governments and they are only receiving 15% of our revenue, you see the amount of wastage. You see how people, women and children are lying on the floor. And you see, and we are going there as a committee, and it's true. I mean, these things I say, I'm not fabricating.
So you're saying the hardware is the problem?
Is the problem, the software. How we are managing our money, how we are striking deals, how we are making the government function. Right now, Teacher Service Commission, teachers who have retired can't be paid their dues. Can you imagine somebody who's retired for the last 6 years, they're not gotten their dues? How are they being paid now? Now they have to go and bribe some individuals at TSC to fasten
so that they can
get their compensation.
So the file can go up the... You see, when I listen to these things, Senator, I ask myself, so it's not the laws that we have in place?
Absolutely not.
It's not the institutions that have been established by...
The PFM Act tells the governor that you make a budget, you take that budget and upload it to the Treasury. The Treasury then takes that budget to uploads it to the central bank. The central bank then uploads that budget onto the IFMI system. The IFMI system, then it's the one which is the guardrail, which is supposed to wait the money that you've budgeted for, including the jobs which are being done, including the medicines you're buying, comes in. And once you've tendered, the company that wins the tender is the one you enter into the IFMI system, so that then they get paid once they supply. So what did we do? We collapsed the IFMI system. We then we started bribing the people at the Treasury. We started bribing the people at Central Bank, so that budget which you've passed, including the national government, they now change the figures. That is why in the audit reports that we receive as the CPAC committee, you have a county government which is voiding, which is not paying. You see, the IFMI system asks, we have opened the system. Like right now, it's open. There are people who you have brought onto the list and they're being paid. Are you with me? So the central bank people are asking you, so do we pay it? So that the other side says, yes, pay. The money is not supposed to go to the county. It goes directly to the person who did the work. What do? They void. They change who's supposed to be paid. They change where the money is supposed to be spent, whether it's in doing roads. They change the values of certain roads. They change the values of the medicines they're supposed to buy. So the law is there, but implementing this law, the control of budget has screamed.
But now you've learned it.
Are you
now,
with me? Then you have the Auditor General.
We've had it, Senator. Let me ask the question.
Yes.
In all these systems that we are talking about,
yes,
we have placed watchmen and women. We have institutions that are supposed to be, the gatekeepers.
Absolutely.
We have the independent offices.
ESCC,
budget,
you have DPP,
you have the Auditor General.
Control of budget.
All this.
Yes.
And then we have the ultimate one.
Yes.
Parliament.
Yes.
That has people who are elected directly by the people.
Yes.
To go and oversight.
Yes.
And make sure that things are done right.
Yes.
Parliament makes the budget. Parliament oversights how that budget is spent.
Yes.
Parliament is the sole consumer of the report by the Auditor General. Parliament is the sole primary consumer of the report by the Control of Budget.
Yes.
When the Control of Budget has been screaming, when the Auditor General has been screaming, they have been trying to get the attention of Parliament.
Yes.
And yet Parliament has not done much to respond to this. But suddenly now we are seeing parliamentarians such as yourself, a very seasoned parliamentarian.
Yes.
It's like you are heading to Damascus and things have happened.
Yes.
What changed? Why has our parliament not been working all these years?
Thank you,
Senator?
sir. I want to tell you this, Latif. Honestly speaking, people like me have been seeing what has been going on, and we decided we will not talk about it because it was convenient for us. It is convenient that I am able to be a member of parliament. It is convenient that immediately the elections end and I come to the National Assembly. It is convenient that you are told the committees that you must join as roads. If you can't defense and foreign affairs, you might employ one of your nephews as an ambassador. The education, chances are in your constituency you'll be added extra 100 million by the sweetness. And you see, we are party members. Right now our party is kitu ni yetu.
Inside.
And I really have to be sorry to my leader, Honorable Gashawa, because he is the latest convertee to this message. He's the one who's saying Kenya is about 2 companies which have got shareholders. He now understands when some of us were talking to him and saying, that is not it. What you are saying is so painful to some of us that you are actually deliberately saying that after every election, those who win sit down and engage to share. So what has happened? Let me tell you this, Latif. I am not holier than anybody. All right? Have I seen and even participated in corruption? Most likely I have. All right? But the point I'm making for me is this. It's not about me now. No. Because if you look at my record, it's quite nice. If you look at my books when I was an MP, that's why these people of Kisi and Kituchacha have always elected me, because my approach to public service and public resources has been very, very cautious. And that is why I managed to be there for the time I have been. So what is happening is some of us are now beginning to tell our friends, you can be extremely happy that you are getting 250 million right now from CDF. And I will tell you that out of that money, you're also getting 100 million or 50 million to give for bursaries. But when I look at the audit reports you're giving me as members of parliament, if you look at the 2002 audit reports, and by the way, Latif, it's really amazing. It's mind-boggling. And I am going to just ask her to look at just 5 members of parliament. Let her state how much money the controller of budget is saying that these, our colleagues, our friends, our members of parliament, cannot account for. Read that. It starts with that one. What does it say? How much money is that?
Financial year 2021-2022, Nixon Courier spent 80 million.
And?
George Theuri, 96 million.
And go down.
Pay bursaries and build a classroom in Embakasi West.
And then what happened?
And so I think I have to go
back and you'll see. And she tells you there are no documents. There's nothing. It's here.
Okay, so let's go back to the Nixon Courier one. Nixon Courier spent 80 million to pay bursaries in Langata. However, there is no... However, upon verification, only 30% of applicants acknowledge receipt of the bursaries. In the financial year 2021-2022, George Theuri spent 96 million to pay bursaries and build a classroom in Embakasi West. However, upon verification, it was discovered that some students didn't have admission numbers and the class was not built.
Next.
Okay, we then go on to... In the financial year 2021-2022, Alice Wahome spent 39 million shillings to pay bursaries in Kandara. However, upon verification, documents to confirm needy kids benefited were not found.
Go on.
This is the Auditor General report?
Auditor General report, right.
This is the report.
This is the report.
Why is the Auditor General quoting MPs and not constituencies?
No, I mean, what happened is that...
It's broken down.
It's broken down. But, and then the Gen Zs have put the names of the MPs.
Okay. But, so this is not the MP, it's the constituency CDF.
CDF, yes.
Okay.
All right?
Yeah, because it's important to make the clarification.
That is true, so that somebody doesn't sue you. The truth is, this is CDF money that members of parliament, and we are talking about only 6 in this list.
Okay.
Remember, there are 290.
Now, this goes to Parliament.
Yes.
Parliament is the one that receives the Auditor General's report.
Absolutely.
It comes to Parliament.
Yes.
And this is on the disbandment of NGCDF
Yes.
and what has happened. Do we have a corresponding report, for example, that shows what Parliament did with those reports?
What I'm saying is this. Thank you.
That's why it goes to die.
Latif, brilliant. How do you give me money and you allow me to spend that money, and I'm going to spend that money even when you can argue that, MPs are just patrons? Wachana na your story, bwana. I've been an MP. We run that money like a horse.
But why?
I'll tell you. It's the kitty. It's the kitty. The money is taken, and after the audit reports are done, they are shelved at the National Assembly. What do you expect the members of Parliament to do? How can you oversight yourself? They hate me now, they abuse me, insult me that I'm talking like this. It is not even just the CDF. Look at our roads. How many times have I been saying the number of kilometers of road that we allocate budgetary financials to? It's mind-boggling. And yet there's nothing that happens. But documents are down, people are paid, the money goes. The Auditor General and the Controller Budget have raised. Latif, last month, the Controller Budget said, the Auditor General, Madam Nancy, I think an incredibly strong person, she said 1.2 trillion shillings was borrowed, but we don't know where it went. Did you see anybody say anything?
Who's supposed to say? It's Parliament, is it not?
Exactly. That's why I'm saying the system is broken. Members of Parliament, CDF is used as the cash cow that adds value to whatever the members of Parliament, and some of them, and I don't want many of them to keep on hitting at me that it looks like I'm fighting. Some of them have done brilliant work. There are 20, 30, 40 of them who could have done good work.
You know what, Mashima? We should not even be mentioning members of Parliament when it comes to CDF.
Yes.
The law
Thank you.
does not have any role for a member of Parliament.
Thank you.
In the management
and
of
that
CDF.
is why that CDF has been deliberately misused. We've gone against court orders, and we've been busy trying to say, let's change the law so that CDF becomes what?
NGCDF.
NGCDF. And that is why I said the other day, the amount of money we are spending in giving out bursaries from primary school kids, secondary school kids, money that is being given, and even university, money that is being given to the governors, to the MPs, to the women rep, to the deputy governors, the presidency and his deputy, and everybody else is about 70B. Kibaki was running the Ministry of Education when he was president.
So in 4 years, we can actually put in money to upgrade our airport.
Absolutely.
But let's end it there. It's 8 a.m. Senator Richard Nyonka from Kisii County has been our guest. Come back soon. Time for the news.
Oh, you mean the time is over?
It's made of canvas. Inajengwa na hema. In the middle of tarmac. That is the arrivals. This is a temporary structure we put up almost, 7 years ago. We don't. Ethiopia have a brand new airport. Rwanda have a brand new airport, and it is the reason why we need to work with investors to give us a new airport in Nairobi. I have seen many people saying William Ruto wants to sell the airport. Am I a madman? How do you sell a strategic national asset? You have to be insane.
However, Ruto defended the decision to have a private investor refurbish JKIA, saying the cost will be too huge for the government.
We must have the right investment for the airport. The airport is a strategic government asset, national asset. What we want to do in the airport is to work under the PPP program. And people must understand, PPP has the potential, public-private partnership has the potential to bring in private sector money, blend it with public sector investment to be able to create an outcome that brings win-win.
President Ruto further defended his choice of cabinet nominees, saying it represents the face of the country and will help him achieve his government's flagship projects.
Let me clarify, as the party leader of ODM did, that we did not form a coalition government. so that nobody should tell us we're trying to compromise the opposition. We have no formal coalition arrangement. What we have is running an administration on matters that we have agreed, members of ODM who have agreed to come and work with us so that we can put the country first and be able to deal with the challenges that brings Kenya to where it is.
Meanwhile, Western leaders want Azimio affiliate parties to discharge their role as the opposition instead of engaging in needless squabbles. Affiliate parties have accused the Orange Democratic Party of betrayal after 4 of its members accepted cabinet positions in the Kenya Kwanza government last week. Kakamega Deputy Governor Ayub Savula told Wiper, Jubilee, DAPK and Roots parties to keep the government in check. President William Ruto on Wednesday nominated the ODM top brass as cabinet secretaries, sending the party into loggerheads with other Azimio affiliates. Martha Karua's NARC Kenya has since issued a notice to withdraw from the coalition following the development. Body is nominating the 9 members of the panel that will recruit the next crop of IBC commissioners have until today to do so. Speaker Moses Wetangula, as chairperson of the Parliamentary Service Commission, has until close of business today to receive the names. The Speaker is thereafter expected to submit the names to President William Ruto to appoint the selection panel. The IBC Amendment Act 2023 sets a 14-day window for the respective nominating bodies, a deadline that lapses today. As per the new law, the Parliamentary Service Commission has 2 slots in the panel, 3 for political parties under the Liaison umbrella, PPLC, 2 for Interreligious Council and 1 each for ISPAC and the Law Society of Kenya. The government spent an average of 162 million shillings per capita to compensate households who were victims of weather-related disasters in the year 2023. According to a new report, it has revealed the government has set aside 9.12 billion shillings towards weather-related disaster expenditure last year. Per capita weather-related disaster expenditure refers to the average amount of money spent on weather-related disasters per person. That's the News Wire. I'm Leah Ubaga.
.5 Spice FM, Kisumu.
Okay, so 8 o'clock, and what's happening on the roads this morning is still heavy coming in on the Thika Superhighway, and it's going to take us all the way through towards Muranga Road at the roundabout, the Globe Cinema roundabout. It's also busy on Huru Highway, just looking at it coming in from Mombasa Road, touching at different junctions, Lusaka Road, heading out towards Bunyala, and then Haile Selassie. Very busy from what we see. Also looking at traffic heavy on the Eastern Bypass, coming in from that Roy interchange all the way, and this is crazy, guys, because it's bumper to bumper through towards North Airport Road, out towards Cabanas. We are in traffic hour. Let's see what happens as we get through Monday. We'll talk on SpiceFM KE on X, hashtag the Situation Room.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Oko, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latin, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
7 minutes after 8. Welcome to the third hour of The Situation Room. We continue. Have you done like that, what we're telling you to do? Number 1, open an account with the Britain Money Market Fund or Smart Yield. Put at least 1,000 shillings. Take a screenshot, DM it to us, and you stand a chance of winning 5,000 shillings today. just because you've done that. Why is it important to invest in the money market fund?
Because how about you just take an opportunity to watch your money grow, as opposed to just sitting one place and it doesn't do anything for you. But you can take that little bit that you were putting aside and actually see it multiply. Whether you're opening a money market fund, you get a growth of 13.5% in the short term. And if you're looking at a smart yield account, you get a growth of 14% in the long term. It's something you want to do so you have a chance to see whatever money it is that you're putting aside to grow right in front of your eyes, literally. I'm going to remind them what you said. If you open an account today, or if you top up your existing account with 1,000 shillings, make the payment, take a screenshot of that payment, and send us a DM with that screenshot. You could win 5,000 shillings today. You want to find out how to open an account? Go to ke.britam.com, follow the instructions, and voila.
Yep. Or you can SMS the word SMART to 21778. That's SMART to 21778. They'll get back in touch with you. And if you've got any more questions, they will help you. They will walk the journey with you. The next hour, we want to have a conversation about land corruption in this country, historical injustices, especially around land. Hey, it's been a big one. This one has been a big one.
Yeah.
Faith Alube is the CEO of the Kenya Land Alliance. She's also a human rights lawyer. She's our guest. Good morning, Faith.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
I'm great. Yeah.
Karibu sana.
Asante.
Karibu sana.
Asante.
Sitimuga was here. I'm sure you've met him when you were coming in. He's just stepped out into a meeting, but he says, tukusalimie sana, tukuambie usikie uko nyumbani, usikie uko huru. Hapa ni kwako. Ndu?
Yes.
So why don't you give her the day's proverb?
Where did he leave it with you?
The proverbs for this week are from the country of Burundi. And the capital of Burundi is, Faith?
Bujumbura.
Close.
Okay, that's the one I know.
Apparently, the administrative capital of Burundi is not Bujumbura. It is Gitega.
Kitega.
Yeah.
I'm informed now.
Yes. The proverb has something to do with setting the trap. Rat leaving, you putting trap today. That's the proverb.
I'm informed now.
You set the trap after the rat had
Passed.
You set the trap and the rat had already passed. You set the trap and the rat had passed. What's your interpretation of that proverb? You set the trap and the rat had passed.
I think you're late in your actions.
And so therefore?
The trap is not useful. Unless there's another rat that will pass. Yeah.
You wait for the next rat.
Yes.
The one you know of has passed.
Has passed.
Okay. What do you think the lesson here would be?
A stitch in time saves 9. Yeah. That would be the lesson.
Good one.
Yeah.
Good one. Tell us about the Kenya Land Alliance.
Kenya Land Alliance is a movement of local-based organizations that advance land justice. For Kenya Land Alliance, we look at land from Article 260 of our Constitution, where land is what is beneath the surface, on the surface, and what is above. So when you're talking about extractives, we're talking about lakes, rivers, the forests. When you're talking about the surface rights where we step on, when someone is talking about environmental justice and climate justice, you're actually touching matters land. So Kenya Land Alliance, we have 60 members across 25 counties.
What do you mean when you say land justice?
Land justice just means that if you divide the two words so that it's easy to define it, land, I've already defined what is beneath, what is on the surface, and what's above, and is the primary factor of production. And then justice has to do with the administration of rights. One has to feel that their rights are being administered in a fair way. It can be a community, it can be an individual. In fact, in the Katiba, in the Constitution, it's grouped into 3: a community, private, and government. So if you put the two words together, land justice, then it means land marginalized communities can feel that their lands are being administered well. An individual can enjoy their right to property, and a government can actually administer their rights as well because they're a person, they're a legal entity.
Okay.
Yeah.
So who makes up, you talked about members in the alliance from around the country, around counties. Who makes up the alliance?
So to be a member at the Kenya Land Alliance, there are 4 categories of members. There are individuals that cannot, if you cannot bind your institution, then you join as an individual, like from the academia or government. And then there are community-based organizations, and then we have NGOs, and then we have INGOs. Yeah.
Okay. So what do you do?
So we have 4 objectives. The first one is to amplify community voices, to make sure that the marginalized in communities can be heard, like women, like the elderly, like communities that have suffered historical land injustices. The second one is to ensure that community rights are protected. As we know, Kenya is 70% communally held. We're in the process of registering land right now, and the process is messy. I can't say it's a neat one. And then the third one is strengthening land governance processes. As we know, since 1895, since the colonialists landed in Kenya, our land governance systems are still colonized. And the fourth one, of course, is strengthen our members in various capacities. Yeah.
When we talk about land use in this country, so the law recognizes land ownership as 3.
Yes.
Communal land,
61, yeah.
private land, and public land.
Yes.
Now, much of what we see, for example, where there's disputes of land is at the point of communal land and public land. We see a lot of that, where there are many injustices or grabbing or just misallocation or misuse of the land. What main things do you deal with as the Kenya Land Alliance when it comes to those? For example, you said 70% of land communally owned. That means a lot.
Yeah. So what we do at KLA when you're talking about land grabs, number one is to make sure the gap between policy and practice is narrowed, because the landowners do not understand the procedures and the processes, so the elite take advantage of that. Then number two, we normally do public interest litigations to influence policy. Then number three is to ensure that the manifestos that people throw around every 5 years actually make sense at the end of the day. They rarely do, especially with the current administration. But at the Kenya Land Alliance, we ensure that if, for instance, an investor is coming into an area, especially community lands, because the regime, the tenure is fluid, and when the tenure is fluid, so much can happen. So we ensure that we demystify such documents for the landowners so that they can understand their lands and territories and how do they negotiate.
But do they actually get proper representation?
No.
Let's talk about, for example, communities, and then there is this investor who's coming. They want to extract minerals out of this land. They want to extract, for construction purposes. And we see this in many parts of the country. Or now with the new thing, carbon credits, and there's the sale of carbon credits. Does the community actually get proper representation at the table?
No.
In the negotiations?
They don't.
What should happen?
They don't. In fact, even the current administration, I dare say, they don't understand that carbon credit business that is being thrown around in every other document. Because, as it were, even if you just ignore the matter of carbon credits a little bit and look at the large investments that are in Kenya, we do not have the capacity to understand or to know the revenue at source. Leave alone carbon credit, the one that we do not even have the expertise to understand how do you extract the carbon unless we depend on a third party.
Yeah.
So as we talk about representation and public participation, especially in the current administration, the communities are getting a raw deal. They are not being represented well. Most of the decisions are imparted. The communities don't move with the decisions. If you look at the latest climate-related conference that we held in Kenya, the Carbon Credit Conference, how many people were there that were landowners? Leave alone those, elite capture. Very few people are represented. And that's why we are saying we are insisting on the commercial bit of climate justice, talking about carbon credit, but what about resilience and adaptation? The communities that bear the brand of whatever actions that we do. Why are polluters pushing the burden to the communities and not paying for it?
But then again, Faith, in terms of now awareness, so let's say there is a concession that's been given to a company to come and extract some minerals, and this is community land, as it is known and owned right now, it's community land. And some few leaders of that community are going to be the ones who negotiate
Yes.
with the investor that comes in. How should the entire community get involved in this? And does the Kenya Land Alliance help communities in such? We are seeing them all over the country. Where investors are going, they're mining, they're extracting resources.
First of all, just to mention it, Kenya has always received a raw deal. We've never really realized the investment in whatever minerals that are in our country. So at the community level, if you look at the community, most of them are not well educated to understand those documents. In fact, if you're not legally literate, the concession is a big document. You get that at times it even have between 2,000 and 3,000 pages at times, because it has a components. So the communities are challenged by very low literacy levels, poor enforcement of the law, patriarchy, lack of awareness. So when an investor comes in as Kenya Land Alliance, what we normally do is to ensure we understand exactly what their agreement talks about. Because the devil is in the details when it comes to concessions. They make them big so that they discourage people from reading them. And then, number two, the issue of commissions. You get that there is a lead capture right from the bottom administrative unit. Everybody wants a cut. By the time it reaches the current administration right at the top, the investor feels that, you know what, I've paid so much out, I need to make it. So the community has to organize better. How do they do that? They need to organize in their own spaces, in their own language that they feel safe. Kenya Land Alliance has even translated materials into Kiturkana, Somali, Swahili, so that people can understand the documents. We normally say...
But this is after the fact, Faith.
It is after the fact, because we are privileged to get...
Are you involved? So, for example,
in negotiation?
You're aware that there is a certain investor who is seeking to go and put up a facility in a certain community, and that community is going to then have to cede off some of this land. Does the Kenya Land Alliance or any of its partners come in at that point and start creating awareness? Are you guys aware that there's a company that's coming and these are the negotiations? Are you aware that you need to properly choose your representatives to this negotiation? This is what is being discussed, so that you make sure that the community is involved all the way from the very beginning. Because coming to interpreting it in Turkana after the land has already been signed off for the next 40 years, it's moot.
You know what normally happens? These concessions are secret, but there is always that window of prospecting. You're given a window of like 2-3 years. In this window, the investor does not have the exclusive rights to whatever they are prospecting about. Let's talk maybe about carbon credits. Before you're given a license, you prospect, and the community is given a say. That is where we catch the whole transaction. But when it's being done, at times it's even being done in New York. It's being done in whatever capital city. But the prospecting window, it's usually give or take 18 to 36 months. That is where we catch it. We say, if you're prospecting, it's not yet commercially viable. So we educate the community and we try to get that the concession, to make sure that the concession is fair. But of course, there are loopholes. You get that there are companies that are perpetually prospecting. When you're perpetually prospecting, then being held accountable becomes tricky, because you're perpetually prospecting. You are yet to be given a license, and you are yet to get the authority to do business. So before they come, there's that window of prospecting. Before they come, there's that window of negotiation, which is usually done mostly out of public eye. And then there is the idea.
This is community land.
Yes. That is one of the irregularities with the current administration. If you look at the carbon credit agreements that are going on, including the law, they're defeating justice. The landowners are not included in the negotiation, as it were.
Okay, sorry. Faith, between whom and whom? These negotiations are taking place. And from what you're saying, the person who is either selling or leasing their land for whatever purpose is not involved in the conversation. How?
So when you're talking about multinationals and large-scale business, the relationship has to be tripartite. There has to be the proponent or the investor. There has to be the government, because the government holds the interest on behalf of her people, and then the community is the owners of the land. So when they lease out land for business, they are leasing out interest. They are not relinquishing their ownership.
They're not selling.
Yeah. So what normally happens, if the community does not understand the interest that is being leased out and what that person or that investor stands to gain, they always receive the short end of the stick. Because remember, land has the pecuniary nature and the non-pecuniary nature. We tend to look at the pecuniary nature where we are saying it is worth this money. But what about the non-pecuniary where we are saying it is your sense of identity, that's where you belong, that's where your history is, So when you're talking about land, there's always that tendency of communities not being informed about the whole thing, what they are losing, because you lose the sense of use for 100 years or so. When it comes to reclaiming, we are never sure that you reclaim. And then the issue of leaseholds. There are companies in Kenya that are operating with leaseholds that they were granted in 1927 during the Land Alienation Act of 1927. And if you look at the land tax that they are paying, it's a joke, like 90 bob a year.
Are we saying that our constitution is not working?
What we are saying is
because
that
our constitution, just before you come in, our constitution, one of the things that was very critical, or one of the conversations that were loud during the entire constitution making process, was the matter of land. And this is where people were focusing on governance, land, and then the Bill of Rights was also coming in. We have land being very clearly discussed in the Constitution. We've got land laws. We've even established a National Lands Commission to manage matters of land away from Ardhi House and the ministry. Try to make sure that it's not the administration that's in office that manages issues of land. It is a permanent constitutional commission that deals with land matters. But then all these things are still happening. There's still all this injustice happening with a majority of Kenyans who own communal land because they don't even know deals that are taking place regarding their land.
Exactly. Because Chapter 5 of the Constitution, and even before that, you get that it's very clear. It has the values, what you should look at, whatever. But when it comes to implementation, the gap between policy and practice is so huge, simply because the elite take advantage of it. Number one. Number two, land being multifaceted, it means that not everybody can understand land from different aspects. As I've spoken about, land being what is beneath. When you look at extractives, it has a whole policy architecture. When you look at land as the surface, it has a whole policy architecture. When you look at land in the air, renewable energy, matters to do with climate justice, matters to do with environmental justice, it has a whole policy architecture. So it being multifaceted, unless it is out of interest, even the elite, they are caught off guard. So what normally happens is that implementation of land laws has to do a lot with political goodwill, number one. It has to do with the information that the communities have. Unfortunately, at times, communities abdicate their watchdog role to NGOs and to the elite, which at times doesn't really serve them very well. If you look at communities that are impacted by land injustices, even from time immemorial, if you're talking about historical land injustices, the matters here, the issues here are handled in boardrooms and then, they dissipate. Communities are never given that advantage of, give us your solutions. When you look at the National Land Commission, even the commissioners that are in right now, there was no public participation, and we went to court as civil societies in nomination of the commissioners. The commission that nominated the commissioners, the board, we were not included as CSOs, so you wonder how would communities then be brought on board. If you look at the inaugural National Land Commission, Swazuri is still in court with Chavangi and their cases. So matters land because of how the multiplicity of laws that impact land, the chances of issues being hidden even within the law itself is very high. I normally give an example. If you look at the Mining Act, there is a formula of benefit sharing, but who implements it? And where is the mechanism to implement it? And right now, with the current CSs that are the names that are being thrown around, I don't think communities will get justice either.
Why would there be a reluctance for implementation?
Money, so that we can buy land in Karen in 2 years. Money. Because if you have a deal of, let's say, 800 million, and I give you a percentage of 10%, that is like 80 million. Now, if you have, like, let's say, 10 deals like that, yeah, clean money that someone cannot trace. Yeah.
Tell me, because we've seen various projects that involve community land. We're dealing with community land for a bit.
Yes.
We're going to private, of course, and public land at some point.
Yeah.
We have seen establishment of large wind farms, solar farms in this country. We have seen mining concessions being given. We have talked about conservation, right? Communities that are conserving wildlife and the benefits that they should be accruing from all these things. What should the procedure be? If, for example, today I wanted to set up a solar farm and I establish a community where there's flat land, all the conditions, the sun is better than the other places, everything. And I wanted then to negotiate with the community so that I can establish this solar farm here. What should I do?
Remember,
what should the process be?
Remember, I've said it should be tripartite.
Okay.
The government should be present, then the proponent.
Which government, national or county?
Right now at different levels, but of course it's the national that normally takes precedence because the concessions is at that level. If you look at Article 71, it's the government that does licensing and Parliament approves some of these issues. So it's both tier. So they should be present, and then the community, who are the landowners, and then the proponent. So for instance, if you want to set up a solar harvesting or extracting or such a farm, for instance, number one, the government should involve the National Land Commission because it is a public investment. And the compulsory acquisition 9 steps should be followed, where they come, physical visits, site visits, they make sure that the land is there, they make sure that there are claims, they make sure there are 2 reports that are very important when you're doing the profiling of communities. There's the RAP report, a resettlement action plan, and then there is the PAP report, which is the project affected persons. So for instance, if 1,000 people should be moved from this land to the other because of what should be put here, these reports should be done, and they should be done together with the community, together with National Land Commission. So if the community is not aware of such processes, the profiling is messed up. Okay, so let's say they are, ideally. Once they are, then the National Commission takes the claims, then they have to do valuation. Like, for instance, a tree will be 5 shillings, your house will be, let's say, 2 million, let's say they estimate the loss of use, let's say 5 million, and then this is what comes into the resettlement action plan, where we are saying, because Latif is moving from here to here, we'll settle him with, like, let's say 10 million.
Right.
So if it's a community of 1,000, this is what should be done. Profiling, claims, counterclaims, and then settlement. Then this land is taken by the National Land Commission and given to the government, whatever ministry. Because the ministry, once it's approached by a proponent, it approaches the National Land Commission. And then there is interministerial communication. So that the National Land Commission gives land for public use to proponents. But there is always a tendency of shortcuts. You get that a proponent might approach the community directly, and the community can only negotiate to the extent of their knowledge.
And this is a case where I'm just leasing land from the community, I'm not buying.
Even if you lease,
all these things still must happen.
Yes, they must happen because remember, you are extracting commercial value from that land.
Right.
Wherever there is commercial value and profit making, we have to consider that the community is losing something because of the consideration you're getting as an investor.
Okay. And in this case then, the community must have representation in this whole conversation.
Ideally,
as the National Land Commission is then working on the PAP and RAP reports, right? They should also make sure that the community signs off.
Exactly.
Because it's community land anyway.
Exactly.
Okay. Now, for the community to sign off, who should sit on that table?
So on that table, the community should be able to do their own nominations and elections. If you look at the Community Land Act of 2016, it stipulates that every adult above the age of 18 belongs has a vote and belongs to a body they call the Community Assembly. 2/3 of the Community Assembly should make a decision in regards to investment. So, and then from the Community Assembly, there is a Community Land Management Committee of 15 people. So this Community Land Management Committee is an electoral position, for instance, overseen by the Ministry of Lands and National Land Commission, that the process is transparent. But we know elite capture is real. For instance, if I went to, let's say, a tertiary institution and my opponent never even stepped a school into a class, or they only reached class 8, the possibility of me sitting there is very high. And then the possibility of me serving my own interest is also very high. So the community land management committees should be the ones representing the community in the day-to-day runnings. But as we can see right now, since there is a governance loop in terms of knowledge, there are conflicts that are arising now. Out of the 24 counties that have community lands, according to the National Land Commission, I'd say only around 6 or 7 counties have communities that have registered their lands. The rest have fluid tenure. And with fluid tenure, so much goes on. Like what you've mentioned, the conservation. We have proponents that are in 13, 15 counties, and the concessions are not public. As long as you're hiding the concession, I'd say you're hiding something.
What? Let's take a break. It's 27 minutes to 9. We are talking about land corruption and historical injustices, especially on land governance matters. Our guest this morning is Faith Alube. She is the CEO of the Kenya Land Alliance. She's also a human rights lawyer. She's our guest. Keep it here. We'll be back shortly.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Are you ready to unleash your creativity and dive into the dynamic world of media? Then listen up. At Standard Talanta Academy, a collaboration between Talanta Institute and Standard Group, we are redefining the rules of the game. With our media mastery course, you'll embark on a journey that goes beyond the ordinary. From TV and film production, photography to digital journalism, our curriculum is designed to equip you with the skills needed to thrive in today's media landscape. But we are not just about theory, we are about action. Our hands-on approach means you will be creating, producing, and innovating from day one. And with Standard Group, home to KTN, Radio Maisha, Vibes Radio, SpiceFM, and the Standard newspaper, you'll have unparalleled access to industry expertise and real-world opportunities. So, if you're ready to turn your passion into profit, join us at Standard Talanta Academy and unlock your full potential. Visit www.talanta.ac.ke or call 0724 468 468 for more information. Standard Talanta Academy. Unleash creativity.
The weather with SpiceFM.
Cloudy conditions in Nairobi this morning, highs of 23. We'll see highs of 23 in a cloudy Nakuru, and we'll see highs of 22 in a cloudy Nyeri. In Eldoret at 14, we'll see highs of 22, while Mombasa at 24 will go to highs of 30. Malindi will see highs of 29 and lows of 24, and it's hazy in Kisumu this morning at 22, going to highs of 28. We'll see highs of 28 as well in a hazy Kakamega. It's partly sunny at 20 in Kampala with highs of 28, while Dar es Salaam at 23 will see highs of 31. 3 degrees, slightly warmer in Johannesburg with highs of 18, and 29 will be the high in a mostly sunny Mogadishu. It's 15 and cloudy in Addis Ababa, and cloudy at 25 in Lagos, going to highs of 29, and we'll see highs of 29 in a mostly cloudy Kinshasa at 21.
SpiceFM, Nakuru.
All right, still very busy on the Eastern Bypass heading towards North Airport Road. I'll see some of that traffic on Outer Ring today. Also, Kangunda Road still very busy, and we're looking at a lot of traffic on Jago Road in and outbound. There is an absolute hold-up this morning between Lusaka Road and Langata Road Junction and the Haile Selassie Junction. That's inbound traffic to the city. Still very heavy on the Thika Superhighway. Now we're seeing more traffic building up as you get in towards Kasarani, out towards the Allsop stage, and then further down towards Survey. Very busy. It's also busy on Wangari Maathai, trying to touch on Chiromo. So if you're stuck there, traffic is moving somewhere at the end of it. You'll get out in not too long from now. There's movement on the Northern Bypass that heading out towards Kiambu Road. Keeping an eye on things. We'll talk SpiceFM KE on X, hashtag the Situation Room.
Intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
All right, our conversation on land justice, land corruption continues with the CEO of the Kenya Land Alliance, Faith Alube. So, Faith, we've talked about community land. Let's talk about private land now. Private land, again, it can be owned on freehold or leasehold title, right? What's the difference between those two?
So with freehold, you own the land forever. With leasehold, there are terms and conditions. You're given a period to own the land, and it has terms and conditions. In Swahili, we call it kukodesha. And it's done at the basic level where neighbors can, lease each other's farm, I plant maize. And it can also be done at a large scale. Like, for instance, the investors that came to Kenya in 1921 to lease our lands. And if you want to know it's such a serious issue when it comes to investors, our constitution talks about 1,000-year leases being collapsed to 100-year leases. But no one speaks about the mechanism of how to do that and how to ensure that rights are not infringed. If you look at the leaseholds at large-scale level, the person who holds the lease has preemptive rights. They have advantage when it comes to renewal.
Okay.
And the law demands that you have to start the process 3 years before your lease expires. And that's where the complication is. If you're not aware, then you're caught off guard. And the land cartels in the lands ministry takes over your land.
So we have like a 3-year window.
Yes.
If let's say, most of the lands are 99-year leases, right? So you're right there, just about 96 years. You don't know.
Yeah,
because
you don't know.
You've just been inheriting this land.
Yeah.
And the title continues drawing down on the lease.
Yes.
Even after you transfer. When you buy, you don't begin one. You're just continuing with the lease, right?
Yeah.
So those 3 years, if you're not careful,
Yeah.
that's where now the games can happen.
Yes. That's when
That's why we are seeing these things in Nairobi.
Yeah, families evicted, and you start wondering, why is this family that has stayed here for 70 years being evicted? Because the lease agreement, there is a loophole someone identified. And we can even further it and talk about wakfu land. The Muslims, I think, understand this better, where someone can give you land as a gift or give the community land as a gift, and they call it wakfu. Why is that important? Because in areas like California, Nairobi, Gikomba, you're always seeing evictions and whatever. Most of that land is wakfu land. And in the coast, most of it is wakfu land. There are people who are living on wakfu land, and that land has been leased from the people who are in custody back then. So it brings a problem because someone noticed, okay, Latif was put as the custodian and he maybe passed on in 1940. So there is a loophole. How can we use this to make sure that we benefit from it? Right. That's why in the coast you get someone owns the land and then leases out the land for someone to construct a house, and then they construct another one on top. So the owner of the land does not own the house. Yes.
Okay. You mentioned cartels in the Ministry of Land.
Oh, yes.
That means there are cartels in the Ministry of Land.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
They run land in this country.
But the NLC, National Land Commission, at its inception, when we looked at the certain things that were supposed to happen, and then also when we had the digitization process of all records at the ministry, it was to essentially cut out some of these cartels and to make sure that the management of land, I see you smiling, the management of land in this country then would be streamlined, and that the cartels would be a thing of the past. Are you to say that this did not happen?
Are we digitalizing land records of the status quo? You can. Yes, we are digitalizing the status quo. We are not digitalizing land records.
What do you mean?
How?
What I mean, my grandmother in Kitale does not even understand what digitalization is. And anyway, that is web-based. How far is that reach when you talk about internet? Even in Nairobi itself, there are times you cannot log on. So when someone tells you that, we are going to take your records and put them in a certain portal.
And you don't need a middleman anymore. If you want to find out the status of your land, all you need to do is log on and then you'll see what's happening.
On paper, that is what is written. But you see, when I take your land records and put it on this portal, it depends on two things or even three. Number one, that the system will work. You remember LSK protesting against that system because there was a fault. Number two, is there social legitimacy legitimacy of that system. If there is no social legitimacy, that means I can always just bypass it and go transact. And then number 3, the reach of such a certain service such as that. That's why I'm telling you, only the elite can run and digitalize this and say, it serves me. Because you see, I can access it. For me, it's convenient. And then I can actually go ahead and abuse the system to defranchise you. So when you're talking about the National Land Commission, it's called Ardhisasa, that app.
Yes.
When you're talking about the Ministry of Lands having cartels and the National Land Commission, I remember there is a point that the current administration wanted to strip the National Land Commission of the valuing mandate to put it at the Ministry of Lands. That would have really inconvenienced the common mwananchi, because we know that, you know what, if it is public land, it's NLC. If it is private, you start from the ministry and all that. But when you see there is at that current that level, someone wants to make a public address and shift the constitutional mandate through a public address, then you start asking yourself, the land cartels, are they inside the ministry only, or it starts at a very high level? So we can have everything on paper and it looks very neat and everything, but in practice there's still a gap. Let me give you another challenge with the app. If a man has 4 wives, and when I search your land, it should give you a prompt. Which wife is prompted? And do they have the capacity to understand that your land is being searched by Lati, for instance, he wants to purchase it?
So does it?
Does it? Or does it depend on whom? Does it not
who should
depend
get the alert?
on whose
Is it not the
name
man?
was put in? Because at some point there was the information was fed into the system.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And if man X has 4 wives, it is that person who puts in the name. So they've decided who it belongs to. If it belongs to all 4 of them, is there anything that precludes all 4 of them from having their names put in the system?
The person who fits the system, has he gone the extra mile to even know if the women have? You know, it's very important for us to talk about matrimonial property rights, because that's where professional women and that is where the rubber meets the road. When your matrimonial property is on sale somewhere and you have no idea. So the person who feeds the system has to understand matrimonial property rights. The system doesn't have that. The prompt does not even go to any spouse. It goes to the proponent who is searching. So it excludes some certain rights at the home level, at the household level, private rights level. So when we have manually a spousal consent form when it deals with matrimonial property, on the system we do not have those prompts. So it becomes an inconsistency to the level where there's this woman who is seated somewhere thinking that she's secure, but on the app, Latif wants to sell land. Okay. And his wives are not being told.
I want to go to another issue because it's related to this directly. And the issue of double deeds. That, we have one piece of land, he's got a deed, I've got the same title for the same piece of land down to the LR number. It's up to you to figure out which one was made where and which one actually came from the Ministry of Lands. How do such things come about and what is being dealt with? Because for me, it all chalks up to historical injustice, whereby you say, well, here we are, we both have this piece of land. Maybe we've not actually gone to see it, but we go to the system and the system says, how then is the decision made to say, this is actually yours?
The one that comes first. But even the ones that come first at times...
Coming where?
Come where?
Okay. For instance, if you have a title that is dated, let's say, 1910.
Yeah.
Okay? Certificate of title. We avoid to talk about title deeds. Okay. Certificate of titles that is dated 1910. And someone comes with a title that is dated, let's say, 2024. Then someone would like to investigate which one has precedence. There can be a possibility that the person who has the 1910 title did not understand his right to land and maybe did not do succession. So there are loopholes. So, for instance, you have a piece, let's say 1,000 acres, and you are, let's say, 20 interests that should have gotten those interests, and you have not done it. And of the 1,000 people that should have gotten interest, someone becomes more cleverer and gets a title in 2024. But that is what the land cartels do. That is fraud, and that is corruption. That is why you see you have an LR number, you have a title, certificate of title, and 5 more people have the same. So when it comes to investigation, they normally attempt to do that, the ones that has precedence. But we also have to understand that there are private lands that have been adjudicated, that is the subdivision and everything, but they've never received titles. So if you get someone who's cleverer than you, they can actually go ahead and get it before you.
But were they part of that area?
They can be.
Or they could best be some random person from anywhere.
Yes.
Because they have whatever you talked about.
The knowledge.
To do with the knowledge and understanding that these titles have actually never been given out.
Yes.
They can actually go and have that process.
Yes. They can.
And this would come from the Ministry of Lands.
In fact, there are even instances where you do a search. You search in the morning, the documents read Faith Alube. You search in the afternoon, they read Latif. Yes, they're there.
It sounds to me that this is a strong case for digitalization of land records and digitalization of processes.
That is true.
Right.
It is a strong case if it has social legitimacy.
Okay. Now, how does it get social legitimacy?
You have, first of all, we have to know that maybe in Nairobi we can have internet, but just think about your grandmother in the village or the villagers or community land owners.
Yes.
For us to be able to even digitalize it, we have to have some sort of land justice that has occurred, so that we say, this is our community land, we've registered it, and we acknowledge that it is our community land. So these are the records that you're digitalizing.
Right.
So once we give the correct records, then, it's usually garbage in, garbage out, right?
Yep.
So the person who's feeding the system feeds the correct language or feeds the correct
information.
Records. Now imagine if you're suffering from historical land injustices, what is being fed in that system?
Okay.
We are digitalizing status quo, we're not digitalizing land records.
Is this not one of the mandates that the National Land Commission has or had?
They
to
do.
make sure that we are addressing all these matters, to make sure that then we are cleaning our records and we are ensuring that going forward after 2010, we shall have proper land justice.
Ideally, that's what they should do. But when you look at the budgets, Kenya Land Alliance did an audit of the budgets of the institutions that handle land. Most of the budgets go to recurrent expenditure. And most of the developments around these land governance units is done by developmental partners who can come with their own interests. So when you talk about the National Land Commission, it's dependent on budgets. Right now, when you talk about historical land injustices, it had a cap. The time to investigate and lodge the complaints expired in 2023 September.
Last year.
Okay. So communities that had not done that can only get a remedy in a court of law. In a court of law, when you go to a court of law and it's a land matter, it depends on the discretion of a lot of things. You see? So when you talk about discretion, it means that the judge can decide to look at it as a constitutional matter and actually try to rule it out. But there are instances that even us could not get justice from some of these court of laws. Like, for instance, why would the Ogiek go to the East African Court? Because they failed to get justice here. The Eldoret went to the African Court of Justice. Why? Because they failed to get justice here. When I was doing the Mau Mau case, we went to the Royal Court of Justice because we could not get justice here. The Kakuzi Limited, where Camellia PLC owns 55%, Camellia PLC has been associated by the monarch. We did not get justice here. Yet when we went to the UK, where the parent company is, we came back with 780 million. Unilever, we could not get justice here. We went to the Netherlands, the parent company. So we can say the law is there, as I've told you. On paper, it's clear. But accessing justice, it means that there is a sort of progressive, proactive approach that we have to do. But the landowners have to know their rights. That is the true north.
How do they know? Because from what you're saying now, and obviously from what we've seen, that there are very many people then who've been, for lack of a better word, kicked off their land. It's been taken from them. The titles have been changed. They've not been given the certificates that they should actually have. So there are people who still today are victims of this injustice. But then the very folks who should be doing something about it, from what you're saying, are sitting in the hearth of the cartel.
Let me give you an example. There are people in Mombasa who still pay rent to the Sultan of Oman. And the National Land Commission had a hearing, I think, a month ago. And we thought they are going to give solutions. The Sultan of Oman, I think the 30 strip, 30 kilometers, yes, 30 miles strip, should not be receiving rents in 2024. And the National Land Commission had a hearing like 2-3 months ago. And we are still to get a sustainable solution to that. And that's why we normally say the right holder has to be knowledgeable enough to know your land is from this point to this point. Mark it with rivers or trees or mountains the way we used to do it, but mark it and have a sketch of it, because you cannot abdicate that watchdog role. The goodwill is so thin.
Okay.
Yeah.
So all these communities, at the back of they know that this is our land. All right? They just do not know then how to actualize their right to the land.
Sure.
And that's where, of course, the National Land Commission comes in.
And the ministry.
That's where it comes in. The Ministry of Land, that's where it comes in. Organizations such as yourselves, the civil society actors, how do you help such communities? How do you help everybody to know this is, as far as land rights are concerned, and even processes for ownership, for transfer, this is what is black and white in the law?
We do quite a bit. I can start at international level coming down. At international level, we partner with international organizations that can get the concessions for us from the parent countries. Because in Kenya, getting that is very difficult. And if you don't get the concession, then you do not understand the terms of engagement. So at that level, we also do a lot of public interest litigations. At international level, where we use international instruments, according to Article 2.5 and 2.6, where international domesticated become part of our laws. So at international level, that's what we do. At regional level, we come together to try and hold these governments accountable. Remember, most of the arable land in the world is in Africa. So whatever Kenya is suffering, you'll get it's in TZ, you'll get all these perpetrators of injustices are on these countries. So we form coalitions at regional level, and we use our justice systems at international level and regional level. At local level, that is where the rubber meets the road. We have to ensure that the landowners are actually even featured in the laws. There are times, if you look at some of these laws, they are so high level to a point where you wonder, did you feature the landowners themselves? So we start from policy formulation. Kenya Land Alliance was at the forefront in terms of ensuring that Chapter 5 of the Constitution becomes a reality. Because we, at that point in 2007-2008, we appreciated the fact that communities do not understand it. They just know, I was born here, I'm here, so it's mine. We had to tell them, no, it's not yours. There's someone else who has an interest. So policy formulation at that level is very important. Number two, the issue of using the law as an advocacy tool, it's very important to the extent that it can help in terms of public participation, public information, Article 35 and all that. Then number three is to ensure that we follow processes through. Touch and go does not help, because when you touch and go, like what we are doing in the coast right now, when you touch and go, communities lose. They lose because bread and butter politics. So right now in the coast, in Kilifi, they want to install a nuclear plant. And we are asking the questions, where is the environmental impact assessment? As Kenya, do we understand nuclear energy business? And we knock on all these doors, and we front communities in all these offices to be able to ask the questions for themselves. At times we delay. It's not a perfect system. Like there is a case that I worked in Marsabit, in Chalbi Desert, where there was prospecting, and the proponent didn't cover those, did not wrap it up very well, and it poisoned the water table. And people die right now. It should be sorted. It's not sorted. So we wonder where we are at. So it's not a perfect system, but as Kenya Land Alliance, we normally say, because we are donor, we depend on donor funding. To the extent that our resources can allow, we simplify the conversation for the right holders.
Okay. You said that even in these state institutions, they depend on goodwill funds.
Yes.
Donor funds. Donor funds will come with interests. So we can also say the same thing with the Kenya Land Alliance.
Yes.
The donor funds will also come to you,
Yes.
but with interest.
Yes.
So how do you safeguard the public interest against the interest of your benefactor?
At the point where we are raising proposals to be funded, the communities, remember we are a membership organization. For you to be called an alliance, you have to prove there is an alliance. So these 60 members have to, to participate, to be involved. If you're going to the coast, the members in the coast have to be involved so that we get social legitimacy, number one, so that sustainability after the exit strategy, after the project is done, we leave the members continuing. For you to be able to do that, they cannot act against their own interest unless they are bribed. But if you're bribed, an NGO cannot bribe you. There is no money in the budget where we call that, But I'd also like to say, at times, donor money comes with interests. There are instances when you're talking about conversations like, let's say, to do with conservation. There is a slant that they can compel you to take. Like right now in Taita Taveta, we are talking about wildlife credits. And we are asking how then do we balance the line between privity of contracts and right to disclosure? Because we cannot put the precedence. Not that animals are bad and conservation is good and business is good. But if it's causing harm, then we have to question such donor interest and say it is good that we are conserving the environment and everything, but there are indigenous communities that their rights have to be considered as well. Yeah.
Okay. So just really quickly, there's still big issue topics whereby huge swaths of land around the country that belong to people who are originally non-Kenyan. And it's a big issue of contention. Where does the law lie according to that?
According to the Constitution, non-Kenyans cannot own land.
Okay.
That is the Katiba. So when a non-Kenyan cannot own land, what they do, they use proxies. They use proxies. If I think a month or two ago, the CS lands requested for such titles to be remitted. I don't know how that is going, but non-Kenyans cannot own land. Non-citizens.
Okay. Faith, come again. This land story is a long one.
It is.
And it requires much more conversation. And even for people to ask you questions, I see there are very many questions on social media. Come next time and you'll ask them. Faith Alube is the CEO of the Kenya Land Alliance. She is a human rights lawyer. She's been here. We've been talking about land corruption, land justice, and historical injustices. 9 a.m. news time.
Spice up your life.
Good morning. This is the News Wire. I'm Lau Ubaga. Kisii Senator Richard Onyonka has defended his statement that the government plans to sell the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. Speaking at an interview with SpiceFM Situation Room, Onyonka dismissed President William Ruto's statement that there is no government plan to sell the airport.
When I was raising this issue, I had two reasons why I was raising it. Issue number one was to raise this issue because the public was not aware of it, and to inform the public that there's something going on of national interest, and I think the public needs to know. Number two, if I was to give you an answer and say, yes, I know the door, then you tell me, give me the agreement. I don't know. That is why I've asked the question that I want this information to be brought by the committee so that then we can interrogate the matter to its logical conclusion. If they say there's no agreement like that, then we'll go down and start discussing about the legalese in terms of, has the public been engaged? Have we had public hearings on the matter? Is there any other evidence which we have not considered? I would also love to bring the Adani people.
to invest in JKIA airport. I'll take that again. The senator also said that the government denies the allegations after the plan was revealed to the public. He has asked the government to make clear all the information about the plan of the Indian Airlines Adani to invest in the JKIA airport.
When these individuals in government realized that we have actually disclosed this information, they then started to pedal. They're saying we are actually not having this agreement, we are going to follow the law, everything is fine, and that is where we are. And my argument is very simple. I understand the arguments they're making. Give me the evidence on what you have agreed to do with the Adani company.
This event comes as the president insinuated that he would be mad to make such a move.
Yani, the airport we have in Nairobi is made of canvas. Inajengwa na hema. In the middle of tarmac. That is the arrivals. I mean, this is a temporary structure we put up almost, 7 years ago. We don't. Ethiopia have a brand new airport. Rwanda have a brand new airport, and it is the reason why we need to work with investors to give us a new airport in Nairobi. I have seen many people saying William Ruto wants to sell the airport. Am I a madman? How do you sell a strategic national asset? You have to be insane.
Supreme Court Judge Smoking Wanjala will today preside over the launch of the alternative justice system courts in Kitale. Wanjala, who will be received by Kitale High Court Judge Anthony Murima, is scheduled to hold a meeting with Governor George Natembeya before the event. Judge Murima says the new court will help reduce the backlog of cases at the county's High Court.
Kwa sababu ya kwamba miundo msingi yetu hii haijabadilika, kuna congestion katika mahakama. Tumejaribu kupata saada hapa na pale. Tumeweza kujenga koti 2, ziko na open court, ziko na chamber ya magistrate, ziko na facilities zote kuanza utilize. Kesi ambazo tunaweza kusema tuna handle katika hii koti kwa siku ni nyingi. Kuna koti za magistrates 10. Alafu tuko na koti ambayo iko sawa na High Court ya mashamba, na alafu tuko na High Court 1, na pia tuko na Employment and Labor Relations Court. Wiki moja ndani ya mwezi judge wa hiyo court huwa anakuja hapa na anafanya kazi zake hapa. Tuna magistrate.
The judge has further called on the public to embrace technology and use it in monitoring cases as well as be able to get court services.
Kupitia kwa uongozi wa jaji mkuu wa nchi ya Kenya, judiciary imeweza kuja na mbinu za kuhakikisha kwamba msongamano wa watu kotini unapungua, na njia moja ni kutumia teknolojia. Imeanzisha njia za kutumia teknolojia kusikiza kesi.
And in the international scene, Kamala Harris's election campaign has said on Sunday it has raised 25.9 billion shillings, that is $200 million, and signed up to 170,000 new volunteers in the week since she became the Democratic Party's presidential candidate, as Republicans continued to hammer Harris over her work as vice president. President Joe Biden ended his re-election bid on Sunday last week and endorsed Harris for the November 5th vote against Republican former President Donald Trump. Polls over the past week, including one of Reuters' Ipsos, shows Harris and Trump essentially tied. That's the Newswire. I'm Leah Ubaga.
.4 Spice FM.
All right, after 9 o'clock, and traffic still busy in the city today. It's still coming in heavy on the Thika Superhighway. It's going to take a break as you pass that Allsops Junction coming in from Garden City. And then after that, survey through towards the Pangani Underpass, still busy. Kiambu Road not looking too bad, but we're looking at traffic still on Muranga Road at the Globe Cinema roundabout. That is still very busy. Whatever happened on Uhuru Highway this morning, we do not know, but traffic is heavy. And it's spilling over towards Aerodrome Road this morning. And we're looking at traffic now going beyond that Nyayo National Stadium junction, and then all the way onto Mombasa Road. So Mombasa Road, just past Capital Centre, there's traffic through towards Haile Selassie Junction. It's very slow, so you could use the Southern Bypass to get into the city. Enjoy the scenic view this Monday morning. Also looking at traffic, busy on Raila Odinga Way, leading out towards that junction with Gong Road. We're looking at a later end of traffic hour today just because of all of this, but we're going to keep an eye on it. Talk to us, SpiceFM, KE on X, #The Situation Room.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Oko, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latif, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
8 minutes after 9, we are on to the final hour of The Situation Room. Happy Monday. If you're just joining us, Asante Sana. On this 29th day of July 2024, are there people who are sending us DMs? Ndu?
Yes,
Please just check.
We will check.
What we want to know is whether you are DMing us and what kind of information do you want. We want you to take a screenshot of the message that you receive once you put in 1,000 shillings into your Britam Money Market Fund or your Britam Smart, it's called what? Smart Yield Fund. Okay? 1,000 shillings. Take a screenshot. Send it to us via DM on our social media, SpiceFM KE on X or SpiceFM on Facebook. And then at some point later in this show, we'll tell you somebody will win 5,000 shillings. Mm-hmm. Why is it important to invest?
Because what better way than to grow your money than put it in a fund like this, as opposed to sitting at, if you have 5,000 shillings in January and you put it under your mattress, guess what? You'll have 5,000 shillings in December, or it could even be less than that. So Britam has this awesome opportunity for you to grow your money at 13.5% in the short term with a money market fund, or 14% in the long term with a smart yield account. So you can actually grow your money just because you set up an account, put the money in there and grew it in either two of these accounts.
Sheila Mwikali says, what's up? I heard about the Britam Asset Managers investment accounts from the morning show in The Situation Room. I decided to give it a try. I deposited 1,000 shillings first and ventured ID number, Majina, number ya simu. All right, Sheila, well done. We'll see. At the end of this show, we'll see whether Edna decides to give you the 5,000 shillings. Sasawa? Yes. So our next conversation is looking at accountability in counties. So we've seen what the Gen Z have done. All right? They have basically amplified a message that we've all been having, which is demanding accountability from those that we've put in office at the national level, and it has also now come down to the county level. But let's look at it from the level of when it's happening at the counties, how does it tie up to the national? How does it tie up to better service delivery for citizens? Our next guest is Francis Mwangangi. He's the Deputy Governor of Machakos County. Bora DG, good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation.
Thank you.
That is called the hot seat of the Situation Room.
And I'm happy to sit on it.
Karibu sana.
Thank you.
Karibu sana. I told you, I'm a voter in Machakos, resident of Machakos. Machakos tunaijua vizuri sana. And we want to know how our money is being spent.
Yes.
Karibu. City was going to be present, but he has stepped out for a meeting. However, he has left out of the program. Every week, City Mulga goes to one African country, and then he picks proverbs from that country and brings a proverb a day from that country. Last couple of weeks, he was looking at the island nations in Africa. This week, he has said for the next couple of days or weeks, he's going to be looking at the landlocked countries in Africa. How many landlocked countries do you think there are in Africa?
I know those were like Great Lakes, but I know they are quite a number because...
if you were to put a figure, what do you think?
More than half of Africa must be landlocked.
More than half?
More than half.
So Africa is 54 countries?
Yes.
More than half would be?
More than half would be...
27 countries.
More than 27 countries. Yes.
Ndu?
So actually there are 16 landlocked countries in
16?
Africa.
Can you imagine?
Well, let me ask. Landlocked refers to?
Completely surrounded by land or another country. So if there's water on one side, it's not landlocked.
Meaning we are also including lakes.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Then you are right. Then you are right.
Are we including lakes?
So long as it borders land on all sides, that's the only way.
So Kenya is not a landlocked country?
Kenya is not landlocked. Kenya has an ocean.
Okay, so Uganda is not a
seaside.
landlocked country.
Uganda. Uganda is not. No.
Because you said we're including lakes.
Are we including? No, I have to check. Actually. Is Uganda landlocked?
Yeah.
It is landlocked, yeah.
Uganda should be landlocked if you remove lakes.
If you remove lakes, Uganda is landlocked.
If you put the large water bodies of oceans, that is now in our case the Mediterranean, the Indian Ocean, and the Atlantic Ocean, then you have, I think, 16. That's where they come in.
Yeah. Okay, so that's how they counted, I guess.
Okay. Because now that would be kind of complicated.
No, it'll be very complicated. No, I don't think lakes are involved because Chad is landlocked and there's a huge Lake Chad.
You know.
For goodness sake.
But is it at the border?
It's not at the border.
Okay. Okay. So the proverb for today, courtesy of CT, we are. He gave it to us, but now we are trying to, put it in our own words. Okay. You set the trap when the rat had bolted. No.
You even put bolted.
Yeah, it was left.
When the rat has
had passed. Yes. You set the trap when the rat has passed. You set the trap when the rat has passed.
Meaning you will not achieve your mission. Yes. Because if it has passed, it means unless it comes back.
You've lost.
Imeenda. What do you think the lesson here is from this proverb?
Quite a number. One, it is good to be strategic. Two, it is also good to plan. And not only planning, but execute those plans. Yes. And in the right manner.
Good. Makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense.
Thank you.
Actually, I didn't tell you where the proverb is from. It's from Burundi.
Oh, Burundi.
Yes. A landlocked country.
Yes.
Higher.
Okay.
So, Bonadiji, a lot's happening across the country.
And is Burundi landlocked?
Yes. So just checking it here, landlocked is a nation that has no direct access to the sea.
Or ocean.
No direct access.
No
to the sea.
direct access. Burundi doesn't have.
Okay. Because I was thinking of Lake Tanganyika.
No, this one. You see now that's
no. That's not an ocean.
That's
No,
just
it's
a
not.
lake.
Okay.
It's a landlocked lake.
Okay.
What a lot's happening in the country right now, in terms of more wokeness. Citizens are up. They're demanding better governance from those in leadership, demanding accountability from those in offices of power. From where you see it, what do you see the citizens saying?
It's only that we have somehow irresponsible leadership. Because we are just being reminded of us what is expected of us, what we sought office to do. It is as simple as that. Why would you be reminded to wake up and come here to host this show and it is your responsibility? You signed for it. You committed to come and host it. So I think Professor Nyang' Nyong'o repeats that maybe society begets leaders who are like that society. So I think we have another generation here who are saying, look, we need to do things differently. You need to stick to what is supposed to be done. That is my interpretation. Why are young people going to streets? Why did the Azimio coalition go to streets? Because maybe Mwangangi committed to do 1, 2, 3, or the constitution is being violated, or there is that which I'm supposed to do and I'm not doing. So I have to be reminded. And sometimes when you are reminded and you are not adhering to it, then Kenyans have that option. And they can as well go as far as also getting someone else who can do the job. So I think that is basically what is happening. Now, I've just come from a school in Israel, and I wish one day Kenyans can be airlifted to Israel for 24 hours, then back here. Most of us will never speak in public, because that is basically a stone. They compare it to Kenya. The soil that is doing agriculture in Israel, some of it came from this country. It's unfortunate. Very unfortunate.
The state of affairs in this country.
Who said, let me ask, who said you have to be a deputy governor to be a billionaire, a millionaire? Who said you must be the president for you to have a shortcut to richest in the world, if not in the continent? That is what ails us. Greedy, period.
Do you think that those in leadership knew this when they were getting to office? That, did they expect that, the public would expect something of them? What I'm asking basically is, are you leaders shocked that we are asking what we are asking?
Personally, I'm not. Because at the same time, I interact with these youths on a daily basis. I also lecture in one of the public universities as part of my attainment of what I'm doing in that university. But I will tell you, for free, if I get out of this studio and maybe those who voted for me see me entering into a public means of transport, I think they will, many of them will think I'm insane. Because I'm in a public office.
They'll mock you.
Yes.
How can our deputy governor enter Matatu?
Yes. Because that is not what they expect of me. Yes, you go in, amass as much as you can, bring a little bit to them, then you get elected and you move on. But I think as these youths get into the streets, I think the next election will not be a manufactured election, but a lot more than that.
Bonatiji, I hear you saying that there's an, agreement, whether expressed or otherwise, that the current crop of leadership in the country has actually failed Kenyans. Is that true?
The answer is true. Absolutely, very true. Why did they go to street in the first place? Because somebody did not listen to them. And if they listened, they did not put it into law as it was supposed to be done. There is no need of saying there was public participation, and you don't take on board the views of Kenyans, the views of experts. I'm referring to finance bill. You go out, you do public participation, but the coalition is called aside. Go and pass this. In disregard of what Kenyans are saying. It is like in counties, for example, if it is the case of a governor and at national level, in the case of president and all those who are assisting him to run the country, it's like they are the law into themselves. That is not the case. That is not the spirit of our constitution. We need to listen to the people we lead. Did I not hear it is only shoe wearer who knows where it pitches most? So Kenyans know where the pinch is. We need to listen to them.
Did we have to wait for a certain number of Kenyans, for example, to open their mouths and say we're not happy with this, for the current leadership to actually admit that actually there's a problem here? It seems as though everybody's speaking and saying, actually, yes, we're not doing the right thing. We've been, misbehaving with the leadership and governance, only because there was this loud clamoring that came from so many Kenyans at the same time. It seems a bit disingenuous that perhaps there should have been something that was said. There should have been that alarm bell going off saying, hold on, guys. We as the leaders are not actually doing what we ought to do. Can we reroute? But it seemed as though everybody was shouting and said, you guys, something is going wrong. That's when everybody has now joined and said, actually, yes, it's true. Shouldn't there have been a previous, alarm and say, you know what, actually, guys, we need to reroute this train?
It all boils down to, if I ask myself, why do I think I'm in a position where I am? And part of it, you cannot lead us if you don't know what we want. If we don't understand you, if you don't understand us. So in this country, we have a very bad-mannered culture. And that culture is that of adult care. You do all manner of things to ensure you get elected. Once you get there, you decide to do what you want. You tend to think, you can think on behalf of the population that you lead. I think that is the message that is coming from the latest demonstrations and urge that we do things differently. I think there has to be a change of heart, of attitude, of how we perceive the reason why we need to be and why we are in leadership. Because even look, the current composition of the inclusive newly appointed cabinet. Where is the youth? Where are the youths who have been agitated, who have been killed, who have been massacred? Where are they in that? We are getting retirees and which new ideas are they going to bring on board? Okay. So, and when you look at it, it is a strategy to kill the opposition. This is a strategy. Don't tell me these are the best minds we have around.
How does that kill the opposition?
It is true in our constitution. You can have a post or pre-coalition arrangement. But when you, as a government, you campaign and you get elected through your coalition, then you start raiding on the other, ideally the opposition, to get leaders from there. What are you doing? You are killing the unity on the other side, where Kenyans, opposition and minority and the majority are there so that they can compete in ideas. You bring this idea, I challenge it with another one. You steal, I unearth. I tell the Kenyans that here Mwangangi is a thief. He has stolen 1, 2, 3. He has amassed within 1 year. You have grabbed land where all over across Kenya, and I table the documents to that extent. But is what is going to happen? The answer is no. Why? Because the leaders of the other coalition are being
co-opted
into the government. The people who ideally were critical of some of these policies now are the ones to implement those policies. So majority of Kenyans are on their own.
So this is not a response to what the agitation has been?
Nobody, including when as Azimio we were on the streets, nobody asked for a government of national unity. That is a creation of political class in this country. Nobody.
What would you have done if you were the president? You are now a politician.
You do the right thing.
Which is?
The right thing is include majority of Kenyans in the policies that you are doing. By the way, you know, we can have a president and we have maybe the husband as the deputy president, and you run a country smoothly without these noises. We were not doing the right thing. We were not doing the right thing. And even now, we are still not doing the right thing.
What's the right thing?
The right
we
thing.
say that often. What's the right thing across board?
The right thing is you fully implement devolution in Kenya. The right thing is to ensure the views of the majority of Kenyans are incorporated in policies running this country. Doing the right thing is to implement the constitution fully, ensure the institutions that are supposed to be independent are truly independent in all ways, in decision making, in policy making, and even in budgetary allocation. Let them be independent. That is not what we are seeing. Like, for example, even before the former AG left the office, you could see clearly within the National Police Service, there was another informal, powerful command that was directing what to be done in this country. So in this case, that in essence is another way of state capture. You capture state bodies for your private gain. And this will come once this administration is out, or sooner or later, it will come out.
So things will start. What is happening now?
What is happening in Iden? One day, one time, it will come out.
The same way what was happening in the previous administration came out.
Yes.
Once it left office.
Yes. And then a time will come when a governor will hand over at the stadium, or a president will hand over at the stadium, and instead of going to your house, you are shown a door to committee. So that Kenyans can recover what is ideally theirs. That day is coming so soon, because we are busy mismanaging this country, looting this country, and Kenyans are seeing.
Let's take a break. 29 minutes after 9. Francis Mwangangi is the Deputy Governor of Machakos County. He's here today to look at the Gen Z accountability and what's being raised in the public domain. And then we also see this is also going to the counties. He'll tell us the experience that they're getting in Machakos County. The Gen Z is demanding accountability for every shilling, for every decision that you're making. We'll be back shortly. Good morning.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
A touch of gold and class is what you need to up your fashion game. Think Twice brand, your fashion partner over 10 years that operates 36 branches across the country, brings you Think Twice Gold in Thindigwa, Kiambu Road on the 27th of this month. Think Twice Gold offers a unique and golden collection of high-end brands, quality and fashion. We will be launching new stylish collection every month, a daily drop in prices to deliver unmatched value to our customers. And also, we will be adding more stock and variety every day. Think Twice Gold. Go bold, go gold.
Hi, nataka kuona doc. My child is unwell.
Sure. Will you be paying cash or insurance?
Cash.
That will be 1,000 bob for registration and 2,500 for consultation.
Okay, give me a moment. Wow, I don't think I have enough. Bro, si sort me na 1K. Nimepeleka mtoi hosi na niko short.
Pole sana. Mtoi ni msiko wapi?
Nitakushow baadaye. Niaje hiyo 1K?
Aki sina kitu misai. Hujawahi consider health insurance?
I've been planning to, but finances zimekuwa tight. Don't wait for the unexpected. With Jubilee Health Insurance, we mind your health for you. And you can rest assured knowing that you're covered for all life's twists and turns. From doctor visits to emergency treatments, chronic conditions, and even wellness checkups for your family, parents, and employees. Jubilee Health Insurance has you covered, and to top it up, they offer budget-friendly options to suit your pocket. To get covered, visit www.jubileeinsurance.co.ke or text the word HEALTH to 40643 today. Jubilee Health Insurance, your number one choice for all health insurance solutions. Live free.
The weather with SpiceFM.
Cloudy conditions continue in Nairobi. The sun will peek through those clouds at some point, going to highs of 23. 23 will be the high in a mostly cloudy Nakuru, and it's 17 and cloudy in Nyeri with highs of 22 through Monday. 22 will also be the high in a mostly sunny Eldoret at 15. It's sunny at 25 in Mombasa. We'll see highs of 30 and highs of 29 in a partly sunny Malindi at 27. It's a hazy morning at 24 in Kisumu with highs of 28, and we'll see the same with highs of 28 in Kakamega and lows of 17. Kampala is sunny at 23, highs of 28, while Dar es Salaam at 23 is also sunny, going to highs of 31. 5 degrees, warming up so slightly. In Johannesburg, going to highs of 18 and lows of 3. Mogadishu, sunny at 28 with highs of 29, and we'll see highs of 21 in a mostly cloudy Addis Ababa at 17. It's 25 and cloudy in Lagos with highs of 29, while Kinshasa is at 21, and we'll see highs of 29. We're also looking at 35 degrees and sunny in Beijing Monday afternoon with lows of 26, and it's a sunny morning at 17 in Paris, 18 and sunny in London, and 24 and cloudy in New York.
I did saying it's hazy in Nairobi.
Where?
In Nairobi.
Which Nairobi?
For the first time.
No, this is Nairobi.
Yeah, it's Kakamega. That's hazy.
Kakamega, that's hazy.
Hey. And the temperatures are 22. I'm
Mm.
sure it feels like 2. It feels like 2.
Spice up your life.
All right, a busy morning is what we've had. Looking at traffic in the city through and through. Let's take a quick look at what's happening then on Uhuru Highway, because that was quite busy, and I think that's reduced quite some. We're looking at now Uhuru Highway between the Lusaka Langata Road Junction out towards Haile Selassie. That is still really, really heavy this morning, and it's also still heavy on Jogo Road. Traffic coming in towards the Pangani Underpass is still a bit of a menace right now, and getting towards the Global Cinema roundabout, there's traffic that continues there. All right, Eastern Bypass, real quick look. We're looking much better now, folks. I think we'll get through the morning without too much of an issue. Talk to us through the day. SpiceFM KE on X.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Continues with the Deputy Governor Machakos, Francis Mwangangi. Bonadiji, is this your first time in elective politics?
No.
You've been in elective politics before?
National Assembly.
Right?
Yes.
You've been there?
Yes.
You've served at the national level, you've served now in county level.
Yes.
Are you surprised by how the people are reacting to leaders?
No. Even in Parliament, I knew it was a matter of time, and Kenyans will demand what their leaders are supposed to do, and they are not doing. It was a matter of time.
Okay.
Why is that? Part of the state building, and with all due respect, I think we have so many highly educated elected leaders from both counties and at national level. If you remember, our president is a PhD holder, but that does not make him or her an expert in state building. I think there is something we miss in leadership. When President Kibaki came in 2002, he embarked on reconstructing this country. Part of that reconstruction was the establishment, enhancement, and increment in terms of quality of education in this country. That means we have more informed population than it was a long time ago. There are so many changes that have come, because I'm sure globally this show is being watched by anybody on earth who wants to watch it live as it happens. That was not there before. So it is a matter of time. Today, you hear leaders say, I cannot resign. You commit on a crime, but you hold on this public office. It is a matter of time. Eric, we will sit here, God willing, in less than 5 years from now. And anybody who commits some of these silly crimes, whether petty or not, I assure you, you'll be shown the door by the public.
But
for now, because the question was whether I'm surprised or not, I'm not surprised. It was a matter of time. It was going to happen. Yes.
Do you think politicians are surprised?
Many don't understand. So they must blame it on either somebody or what, without knowing change has come.
Don't
to
understand
Kenya.
what?
To them, they think this is a problem. Do not understand what is expected of them. Yes.
This is a bit worrisome, DG, if you say that. That there are leaders in the country today who, by appointment or election, are sitting in these positions and do not understand what they're supposed to be doing. I don't think it's just scary. I think it is maddeningly frightening that there are people who sit in these positions every day, dispensing authority, dispensing duty, earning a salary on Kenyans' backs, and don't understand what they're supposed to be doing. Did I hear you right?
Understanding of what they are supposed to be doing is on two ways. One is what their boss expects of them. Two is what the Constitution and people of Kenya expects of the order of that particular office. They could be the most darling when it comes to their bosses because they are doing what the boss wants. That boss could be a minister, that boss could be a governor, that boss could be a deputy governor, that boss could be an MCA, could be a member of parliament. Okay? But you are fulfilling the interest of a particular person as opposed to what the country and the Constitution expects of you as the order of that particular office. That is the difference.
Okay. And why don't they understand the expectations of their office?
One, it could be because of our culture. Two, it could be the appointing authority. You know, in some areas, you hear people say, hi. I have appointed you. I have given you this position. So if that is repeated to you, it means you are going there to do and advance the interests of the appointing authority most of the time. But even as I dictate to you, I did to you, you need also to look at what is expected of this particular office. What does the Constitution demand of me? And am I doing it? Even as you, but many of us don't. We become cheerleaders and out to please the appointing authorities. Yeah. That's why up to today, I'm not sure we have the right number of the people who are abducted forcibly, people who are massacred during these demonstrations. And compare this with a country like Israel, a country that is at war at the moment. For months now, they have been demanding of the resignation of their topmost political leader, that is the Prime Minister Netanyahu. How many have been killed? How many have been abducted? Well, that time soon is coming to Kenya. And we will be held to account. You can kill the late Archbishop Denge Mwananzeki. remember, is among the spiritual leaders who pushed for the change of the political nature in this country. When he was being transferred from Nakuru as a bishop to Nairobi as an archbishop, upon reaching Nairobi, he said, you have come here and this is the center of demonstration. What are you going to do? And he responded, and do you not see, I think a journalist asked him, do you not see a threat to your life? And he laughed and said, it's okay, they can kill dengue, but many other dengues will emerge in hundreds. The lives of these youths, their blood has gone to the ground. Millions are coming. It's a matter of time.
Have they come to the counties yet?
In some, they have come. Others, they are still coming. And those they have not reached, I'm sure they are on the way. Let them demand accountability. There's no problem. If you are doing the right thing, why should you get worried? If you know you are compliant to the constitution of this country, why would you get worried? Let them come. Ask them, let them demand. How did you get this phone? Where? From which money? If you can justify that, where is the problem? There's no problem.
But you see, the DG, the culture that we are seeing in politics, for example, at national level, there has been a very deliberate attempt at branding this thing as it's sponsored. There must be owners. There must be people who are using this movement to try and get to their own political ends. The same thing could come to the counties when it comes. For example, if demonstrations started today in Machakos and they're saying what we want is just to know how our money is being spent in Machakos, we want to see the level of services at our public health facilities, in our ECDs, in all aspects of our county government, this thing could turn political.
Yes,
you and the governor will start now saying, so who is this who's sponsoring? Who wants this seat in 2027?
No. Let me put it this way. When our youths went to the streets to demonstrate and to demand certain issues, at first, the first day it was very peaceful. There is something we call in international relations protecting the realm. Now, somebody has to protect the government. And I can say this because in Machakos we have arrested people who do not come from the county, yet they have come to demonstrate. They have come to block the roads. They have come to even ban businesses. We have their details. We have arrested them. The citizens have arrested them, given them to the security agencies. But what happens? They are quietly released. Or the DPP refuses to even charge them. What does that one tell you? Somebody in high echelons of the government is fully controlling what is happening. So what is peaceful, and this is common in developing countries, once a government is in place, there are those associated with the same government who feel they can protect it under whatever means and cost. And this is not different from what is happening in this country. So these people we arrested, and even security agencies were reluctant to deal with the issue. So sometimes what is peaceful, what is legal, it is turned otherwise by bringing criminals into it so that you can make it look bad in the eyes of the public. These demonstrations are bad because whenever you call them, they ban, they block the roads, they harm people, those kind of things. So I think if it happens in Machakos, for example, and it has happened, there were demonstrations in Machakos, businesses were banned. First and foremost, I've seen some people trying to also take that opportunity and mobilize on their own so that they can depict the current leadership as bad. But people know. Eric, let me tell you something. In counties, there's a law that we passed at national level, and also our constitution. It demands of public engagement, public input, public participation in anything that you do. And in Machakos, what I can urge is our young population, because I've accompanied the governor in all the 40 wards, majority of our youths don't engage through public participation. These public participations are called and announced nationally and even regionally through the regional media. But when you go to attend them, you find it is only women, few men, and our youths don't turn up to give their views on what they want to be done. Yet, before anything is done, once you know your budget, your money for the next financial year is this much, you are supposed to go to the public, getting views. And once, but before that, I go to the first day when we go to the office. The constitution demands that governor goes around. It is not a must herself as a person, but in this case, she goes a person. She never sends anybody in this. She goes to each of the 40 wards in Machakos County, receiving written views, even verbally, from the people. That this is what we want in water, we want 1, 2, 3. Roads, we want 1, 2, 3. Then she goes sat with the executive and makes a document that is taken to the county assembly. Okay? Through that process, and if that is implemented as we have been doing in Machakos, definitely you will have less demands, less noises from the population, because what they asked for is what is being done.
So you're saying that even if people are not showing up for public participation, have a very few number of people who come, that there's a way to go about it whereby you're actually going and you're taking yourself to the people and saying, tell me about what it is that you want to be done. One doesn't necessarily replace the other, but you may end up getting the same kind of results. Is that what you're saying?
There is partly yes and partly no.
Okay.
Because this public participation, when you agree it starts this particular day, there is almost a month before. People prepare. People are supposed to meet at their villages and say, in this particular village, we are lacking 1, 2, 3, and they put it in writing, being guided by state officials, by public officials, employees of the county, and sometimes even the national government officers at the grassroots level. Now, when the governor comes around, that is the list that is presented. I'm seeing some cases, whenever that list is presented, she picks a mic and asks, truly, in this particular ward, with the people coming from all the villages, is this what you agreed? Sometimes it is changed because people demand of either inclusion of something that was left out or not. So when she goes back with all those views, she goes and prepares an annual development plan, which is allocated funds to go and implement those projects. With that, because there is people engagement, they were part of it. It is likely to have very little complaints or resistance when it comes to implementation. And that is what we have done in Machakos.
DG, the County Government Act mentions that when you're engaging with the public, you think of all ways, including new media and digital means of engaging the public. Now, maybe that's the missing link here, because not many counties actually do any online or digital public participation. still expect that people are going to come, sit at a meeting and engage. And when people are sitting at a meeting and engaging, then there will be those fractions. And we see them. We see those kind of frictions actually that take place. Yeah, you know, sisi ni watu wa Wiper ndio tulishinda, nyinyi watu wa nini mlishindwa kwa any kando. Hawa wametumwa na so and so. And we see that happening. Has Machakos embraced online as a means of public participation? It's a requirement of the law.
It is, and the answer is yes, because we have a full-fledged department headed by a chief officer, which aids in that process. And I will also tell you something, Eric. If we implemented the law, and I'm saying this now as somebody who has been national government and now in counties, and I'm a researcher in devolution. I lecture a lot about devolution. I'll make a general comment that even after the governor has done all that, and not necessarily Machakos county governor, all the governors, that is what the law demands of them. Yeah. You know, after you have prepared this document, you submit it to the county assembly. It is interrogated, and they also carry out another public participation to confirm. So the issue of digitizing that process in Machakos, the answer is yes, affirmatively. And I think what remains is to urge our young population to kindly, whenever these forums are announced, please turn up, because once this process has been concluded, it is almost impossible to include something else midway.
It is setting the trap,
and that
once the rat has passed.
Yes. That's where I was coming. It is like you are trying to catch the rat once already it has passed. So I think it is good we come up and discuss that which helps us and present it during public participation.
I see mischief though here. And here, as I put it, you have run for elective office, okay? I am sure your main mobilizers for all your meetings were youth and women. You, even when you were running for office of governor, I am sure your main mobilizers, in every ward you had women and youth leaders. And you knew that these are the people I'm going to use to get my people to come to a meeting, to get my people to engage with. True? But now, when it comes to governance, the youth are the ones who are not turning up in these meetings. That means that you are not engaging the networks that you have.
You are right, but I'll tell you for free. Eric and Udo have been in both theory and practice when it comes to politics of this country. Even in these public participations, these forums, unless there is something, you might not get the crowd that you want.
Facilitation. Unless you facilitate people.
If even the men and women we are referring to, there must be that motivating factor for them to come. And it explains why if a governor calls a meeting and a county commissioner calls another meeting, most likely that of the county commissioner might be empty, because there is no that motivation factor, that facilitation fee.
So that's the reality of our politics.
That is the truth of our politics. And it is the enemy of our development. It is the enemy of our transformation as a country. I can tell you.
Where does it come from? That people who would come and listen to what a current leader or would-be leader would say are demanding that something has to be given to me in order for me to hear what it is or to offer my support. Where did that come from? Who started it? Was there a demand or was there an offering first? Because if you're saying that is the reality of the politics, across board, then there's a problem.
It was a Standard Media that reported money back somewhere in Western Kenya. It was this media that told the world about listening allowance. It's not me, it's not Eric, it's not Udu. So the
do you think the public
let me answer that question. Is very important. First and foremost, it has everything to do with our culture. Where are we coming from? How did this country start, progress? Where are we and where do we want to go? So, during the single party leadership, then there was a way things were being done. Come the end of that period and President Mike Kibaki's administration, and then there's a story that some people from Kibaki's village went to greet him at the State House, and they were given nkwasi and tea, and that was all. They left there so much angry because that is not what they were used to.
That's not what they were going for.
Yes. People, that culture of, and it is not easy. But what I'm telling my fellow Kenyans is that is the source of our undoing. That is the source of the current mess we have in this country. So I think that is the origin, continuation of a culture that has been there. And we have also leaders who are then in that system who are still with us today and who are resistors of change.
That's how they know their politics.
Yes, and remember even in the last election how money was being thrown left, right, in disregard of the law on financing of the election. So that is where we are. That's why I gave that example. In case today I exit Machakos as a deputy governor and the following day people see me in stench waiting for public means of transport, will think I'm not normal.
Mwangangi amewest miaka tano.
Yeah.
Hata kagari.
Yes. Yeah. You see, so it's a challenge. It's a challenge. We need massive civic education to maybe let our people know it's not in handouts where we will transform this country. Okay?
We hear you. Deputy Governor, thank you very much for joining us today. Francis Mwangangi is the Deputy Governor of Machakos County. He's been our guest. We are talking about what this Gen Z revolution is exposing in our politics and where it's heading. Thank you very much for tuning in to us today. Thank you very much. And remember, tomorrow you will join us. Nani ameselect mshindi? Chukua mshindi moja hapo.
Tuambia ni nani?
Haraka, tuambie.
Edna, tell us who it is.
Edna amekataa kuchukua mshindi. It's 10 a.m. It's time for the news. And the winner is Sheila Mukali Solomon. Okay. 5,000 bob, Sheila, courtesy of Britam Asset Managers. See you tomorrow.
And good morning, this is the News Wire. I'm Leah Ubaga. President William Ruto will today wind up his tour of the coastal region with a visit to Tana River County. Ruto is expected to